Chapter 22:14. In the coiling dragon's secret realm, a ray of light shot up into the sky, tearing apart the darkness and evil spirits. Countless grievances and evil spirits enveloped the world, covering the sky and the sun, plunging the world into darkness. Darkness and light clashed, like a thick layer of black fog enveloping the sun. The light of the sun wanted to break through the darkness, while the darkness wanted to suppress the light. They suppressed and clashed with each other. Boom boom boom. Buzz. The five elements were in balance, immortal and indestructible. The evil spirit was detached and not part of the five elements. It fought tit for tat, using the coiling dragon's secret realm as a battlefield. The more it fought, the more valiant it became. One man and one demon clashed madly, and light and darkness drowned the world. You're crazy. You have an easy choice, but you don't want it. Today, I'll show you what an immortal spell is. Yi Qinghan roared, and his figure flashed. Immortal light shrouded the area, and the immortal sect's five elements golden bell shield covered the mountains and rivers, turning the area into a domain. However, he could not find the source of the evil spirit and could not completely suppress the evil spirit. Whoosh 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 boom. Yi Qinghan mobilized the sky-covering hand to crush the void, trying to capture all the evil spirits and negative emotions into his hand and purify them. Crack crack crack. The coiling dragon's secret realm was distorted. Yi Qinghan's aura was like a rainbow as he closed in, seemingly gaining the upper hand. The saints of the arrogant sect were overjoyed, but Yi Qinghan knew that if he continued to fight like this, he would be exhausted sooner or later. Eventually, he would exhaust his source and die here. The evil spirit sneered. The source of the soul was invisible and could leave the coiling dragon's secret realm in an instant. Therefore, it did not care that Yi Qinghan was fighting with his life. You're the one who's working hard. Keep struggling. I'll let you know what despair is. The evil spirit sneered. Yi Qinghan's face was ferocious as he said disdainfully, I can leave whenever I want. What can you do to me? I don't want this world. It's not mine anyway. If you want to kill me, I'll make you pay. Let's see where you can escape to today. The evil soul's killing intent towards Yi Qinghan was even greater than his killing intent towards Xia Zhaoyang. This was because Xia Zhaoyang was not a threat to his life yet, but Yi Qinghan was different. Yi Qinghan glanced at the boundless secret realm from the corner of his eye. He used stellar transposition to sweep up the four great sages and the golden lightning dragon rock. His figure flickered, and he moved at top speed to the exit of the secret realm. Seal the coiling dragon's secret realm for me. Today I will fight him to the death. Yi Qinghan was enraged. He sealed all the exits and entrances of the coiling dragon's secret realm, intending to fight a great battle with the sinful souls. Whoosh. The adjudicator and Lin Wutian also rushed out of the battlefield. The 9 saints of the mad sect and the 30 saints of the boundless world worked together to defend the entrance of the small domain. They gathered the power of faith of countless creatures. The sinful souls would not be able to break through in a few years, and Yi Qinghan would not give them that much time to break through the entrance. The battlefield had shrunk to the coiling dragon's secret realm. The ultimate battle between the darkness and the light had begun. Force the sinful souls into a corner and suppress them with the star chessboard. Leave the rest to me and Yi Qinghan. The adjudicator held the blade of judgment in his hand and charged into the darkness. Immortal light soared into the sky, splitting time and space. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Lin Wutian held the green lotus immortal sword in his hand. Green lotuses bloomed, and the pure sword energy could even destroy the baleful aura and hurt the sinful soul's source. Xia Zhaoyang, you created this monster. You have to help me kill it. Yi Qinghan grabbed the air and shattered mountains and rivers. The star-plucking hand crushed mountains and rivers. He condensed an immortal sword. Immortal light covered the area, and the murderous aura was even more terrifying than Lin Wutian's immortal sword. Xia Zhaoyang did not want to participate in the battle. He just wanted to defend the entrance. He did not expect that Yi Qinghan would ask him to participate, but he still did not want to go to the center of the battlefield and fight with the monster. Yi Qinghan saw that Xia Zhaoyang was indifferent and could not help but sneer. I'll give you 3 breaths of time to act. If you don't come, don't blame me for being ruthless. I'll give up on killing this monster. I believe the first one to die will be you, not me. Xia Zhaoyang had no choice but to fight. At this time, it was like 4 great saints working together. Countless powerhouses sealed the coiling dragon's secret realm and sealed the sinful souls inside. Ha! You think these ants can seal me? If I want to leave, no one can stop me. The sinful souls laughed wildly. Boon Da Yi Qinghan destroyed a saint with a single finger. Yi Qinghan pointed his finger at the source of the explosion of the sinful soul, causing the ground to shake and crack. Then I'll have to see if I can kill you, Yi Qinghan said angrily. The sinful soul's voice changed again. It's all in vain. You can't protect the world. I'll go first. Whoosh! In an instant, the darkness dissipated. The baleful aura was gone, but the land was scorched. The sinful souls had covered the land, and it would be impossible for any living thing to survive for 100 years. The sinful souls disappeared. No one could catch its trace. It had transcended the 5 elements. It could reside in any place with baleful aura and fear. The saints of the insane sect sealed the passage to the small domain. They had no desire, and there was nothing to be afraid of. After fighting with Yi Qinghan for so long, they understood him well. Hence, there were almost no negative emotions. The sinful souls could not reside in their bodies. However, at the entrance of the coiling dragon's secret realm, the Spectre God Patriarch was afraid. The sinful souls followed the Spectre God Patriarch's holy power and passed through the sealing enchantment. It left the coiling dragon's secret realm. However, it did not take the opportunity to kill the Spectre God Patriarch. Instead, it left the coiling dragon island and went straight to the great world. Yi Qinghan frowned. He could not find any trace of the sinful souls, so he rushed to the entrance. Whoosh! A gust of cold wind whistled past, causing Jin Lei, Long Peng and the others to break out in cold sweat. They hurriedly turned around and saw the baleful aura behind them. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared without a trace. They knew that the sinful souls had escaped. It went to the great world. The Holy Emperor was shocked. Yi Qinghan sent the Universal Love Saint to the great world. Wasn't he falling into the tiger's den? Yi Qinghan was shocked. He quickly teleported out of the coiling dragon's secret realm. The immortal sect's 5 elements teleportation technique was activated to the maximum. He quickly chased after the sinful souls. In the east of the eternal world, there was no longer any life. The Universal Love Saint strolled through the mountains and rivers, speeding towards the west. In the distant snowy plains of the extreme north, a beautiful figure was traversing. It was Fan Yin, who had disappeared for a long time. There was a mark on her forehead. It was the immortal sealing mark. Just as the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage said, she was the most likely person to step into the undying immortal realm first. Why am I the first person to step into that legendary realm? Why is it not little Yi? He cultivated immortal techniques and his talent is superb. His cultivation speed is even faster than mine. If I could become an undying immortal with just the immortal sealing mark, Xia Jiulong would not have died here. Fan Yin looked at Xia Jiulong, who was nailed to the snowy peak. At this moment he was crystal clear, like a perfect ice sculpture. His body was sealed in ice and hung in the air. It was not scary at all. Instead, it was beautiful. Chapter 22:15. In the small domain of the coiling dragon's secret realm, Lin Wutian had already begun to make preparations for the migration. The dozens of saints and the supreme saints all had their own worlds, especially the supreme saints. Even though their worlds were smaller than the secret realm, they were still hundreds of times larger than the small domain. The small realm was densely packed with people. Everyone in the eastern region of the great world who could escape was here. They were divided equally between the great saints and saints. If a saint died, they would die without a doubt. However, no one refused a saint's help. There weren't many places left for the insane sect to save. After all, the people of the 9 states had been taken into their own realms. At this moment, Yi Qinghan couldn't care less. He madly rushed toward the great world, hoping to find Compassion's saint and Fanon. After saving them, he could only let nature take its course. There were more than 100 trillion living beings in the world, and they were so scattered that he couldn't save them even if he wanted to. Whoosh-da-whoosh. Yi Qinghan kept shifting. An hour later he stepped into the great world. With the passage of time, he crossed hundreds of thousands of miles in an instant. With his speed, it would take him less than half a year to cross the great world's continents. However, it would take a saint 200 years to travel from the far east to the west. This was the limit of speed. Yi Qinghan didn't fear hardships. He crossed the sacred land and rushed toward the eternal sacred land of Sword Dao. Yi Qinghan's soul hadn't yet entered the great saint realm. Its range wasn't even as wide as the ghost forefathers. He couldn't find Compassion Saint and Fanine in a short time. He could only rely on luck and hope to find them before the evil souls did. Unfortunately, the world was so big that finding the two of them was like finding a needle in a haystack. At this moment, Compassion Saint was following the northern route to the west. She was almost at the snowy plains of the extreme north. Her speed wasn't very fast because she didn't know that the evil souls had left the war zone for the great world's continents. After spending a few months, the charity saint entered the snowy plains of the extreme north. He discovered that there was a faint holy aura nearby, and there was even a faintly discernible immortal chi mixed within the holy aura. He curiously followed the holy aura into the depths. After decades of contemplation, Fanine discovered that there was another immortal art in the immortal sealing mark. It was called the immortal tome. There were 9 stages in total. After so long, she had only comprehended 3 of them and successfully entered the great saint realm. The immortal chi in her body was much richer than Yi Qinghan's. Compassion Saint's appearance startled Fanine's eyes. They looked at each other from a distance. They weren't familiar, they couldn't even be considered acquaintances. The sky was shrouded in multicolored light. It was as if the heavens had opened its heavenly eye. A thick immortal chi light bathed the sky above Fanine. This kind of blessing from the heavens was never seen before. It shocked Compassion Saint. But she's cultivating the orthodox immortal arts. The saint of universal love's heart trembled. Yi Qinghan had only cultivated the first half of the immortal arts, which were all arts below the great sage realm. However, Fanine had clearly cultivated the true immortal arts, which could allow her to reach the never-dying immortal realm. No wonder the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage said that Fanine was the first to enter the legendary realm. There really was an opportunity waiting for her. No one understood why this happened. Perhaps only the heavens knew. Perhaps the heavens knew that no one could stop the evil souls. The world's consciousness couldn't interfere, so it could only hold back. It was afraid that Yi Qinghan and the adjudicator would fail. This created the immortal sealing mark. It was a pity that Xia Jiolong didn't comprehend the immortal sealing mark when he obtained it. Instead, he stared at Yi Qinghan. In the end, he went for wool and came home shorn. Not only did he fail to kill Yi Qinghan, he even lost his life. However, this was purely a guess. Only the heavens knew why Fanine obtained the immortal sealing mark and successfully discovered the immortal code. For you, Compassion Saint blurted out. Fanine stared at Compassion Saint and said, "I'm Fanine from the heavenly sect. Are you the goddess of love?" Compassion Saint frowned. She seemed to have heard Yi Qinghan mention this name before. She nodded and said, "I'm Compassion Saint. Are you the senior sister that Yi Qinghan mentioned, Fanine?" Fanine was overjoyed. She asked, "You know little Yi? Where is he? Why hasn't he appeared after disappearing for so many years? Is he still safe?" Compassion Saint was a woman. Seeing Fanine so agitated and concerned about Yi Qinghan, she knew that Yi Qinghan had gained another woman's luck. She could not help but sigh inwardly. She felt a little jealous. However, she also knew that Yi Qinghan had more than one woman. She was also not orthodox, so there was no need for her to be angry. "He's fine. He's currently working with the great sage to hunt down the sinful soul. I don't know if they'll succeed." Compassion Saint replied honestly. They would never have thought that the sinful soul had already left the coiling dragon mystic realm and was rushing towards the outside world. No one dared to stay in the hinterland of the outside world. They were all at the edge of the outside world. To the north was the martial Dao supremacy holy land, To the south was the Spectre Immortal Domain, and further west was the edge of the Oshi Holy Land. There were humans everywhere. These humans were guiding the sinful soul. It turned into a visible black fog and rushed towards the north. At the edge of the outside world, countless experts were about to be sealed in ice. Their steps faltered as they suffered all kinds of torture. They only hoped for a chance to live. The further north they went, the colder it got. However, the sinful soul liked the dark. No matter how cold it was, it could not stop its path. Instead, it gave the people in the extreme south a chance to live. Woo-da-whoosh! The cold wind whistled and white snow swirled. Some of the weaker existences were frozen into statues. They stood on the ice plains, their bodies covered in white snow. They were harder than steel. Woo-woo! Countless people cried in despair. Some hugged each other for warmth, emitting spiritual energy to protect the elderly, women, and children. The burly men outside were almost frozen to death. Their bodies were covered in white snow, and even their beards were dyed white. Panic, despair, and pessimism shrouded the extreme north. Whooshed at all of a sudden, the snowy plains of the far north that were originally snowy white with no sign of night was suddenly plunged into darkness in the blink of an eye. A baleful aura attacked people's hearts. No matter how strong or weak one's cultivation was, without a saint, these people were all ants. Shrill screams dissipated in the cold wind. Countless corpses were frozen before they even had the chance to fall. Their souls had died long ago. Their corpses had decayed, but their bodies were preserved by the cold snow of the extreme north. Death had come. Countless miles away, the universal love saint and Fanine were shocked. They looked up at the darkness that had already covered the sky. They knew something was wrong. Oh no, the sinful soul actually came here. The universal love saint said in shock. Senior, leave quickly. Whoosh! Two figures rushed into the air. They did not dare to rescue the others. They did not even know if they had a chance to survive. They could only go to the hinterland as fast as they could, hoping that the hinterland's emptiness would make the sinful soul unwilling to chase after them. However, the two of them were eternal saints. Whether it was their souls or cultivation, they were far stronger than countless cultivators. How could the sinful soul be willing to let them go? Roared at the black fog formed a huge demon that looked down from the sky. It swooped down from the sky. Its fangs shattered the sky as it chased after them. Chapter 22:16. Roared at the resentful spirit turned into a huge mouth and rushed towards the two beauties. Ha! Yichinghan, that bastard, is against me. The heavens have given me his two beauties. A shrill roar shrouded the northern border. Snow flew everywhere, blocking the escape route of the two beauties. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! The two beauties sped through the air. They wanted to escape separately, but the evil spirit split into two and wanted to attack them one by one. The two beauties could only work together to escape. Roared at the evil spirit was too fast. In the blink of an eye, it was behind the two beauties. An 8 trigrams diagram appeared behind Fanine, forming a huge vortex. Celestial light shot into the sky. Immortal imprint cloud suppressing stream. Boom! Fanine formed a seal with both hands and activated the immortal sealing imprint on her forehead. She turned her body and waved her hand to control the immortal sealing imprint behind her. Whoosh! The immortal sealing imprint shot out rays of light that swept through the mountains and rivers. With majestic celestial light, it formed a huge celestial screen that separated the sky and pressed down on the thick black fog behind her. Hiss-da-da-da-boom! When the celestial light touched the dark aura, a shrill roar resounded through the heavenly river. The black fog seemed to be burned and was directly purified. However, this was only the aftermath of the evil spirit. The powerful evil spirit condensed into a palm and grabbed at the immortal sealing imprint. However, the imprint had already broken through the clouds. Even the black fog could not wrap around it. With a loud bang, the snowfield collapsed and the glaciers broke. Countless creatures fell into the abyss and were frozen by the thick cold air. Whoosh! A cold air rushed out in all directions and instantly rushed out of the Marshall Way Supremacy's holy land. Countless living beings at the border were all turned into ice sculptures in the blink of an eye and were quickly covered by snow. This cultivator civilization that was at the peak of its power would soon disappear without leaving any trace. After the immortal imprint and the evil spirit collided, the imprint quickly shrank and returned to Fanin's body. The evil spirit of the evil spirit retreated thousands of miles. Its face was hideous and in pain. Whoosh! Let's go! The universal love saint quickly pulled the tired Fanin and fled to the south. Damn it, the world's consciousness seems to have more than one trick up its sleeve. It knows that Yi Qinghan is unreliable, so it passed down the world's only immortal sealing imprint. The sinful soul growled and chased after him after a moment of hesitation. Whoosh! The charity saint did not choose to flee to the west. Instead, he rushed towards the southeast, preparing to return to Yi Qinghan. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was rushing from the east to the west in search of the saint of love and Fanin. Even from far away, he could feel the baleful aura of the northern frontier. It was shrouded in thick black fog, and even the pure white snow could not illuminate the sky. Yi Qinghan didn't dare to delay. He seized the air and soared into the sky. He arrived at the territory of the transcending heaven cult in the blink of an eye. Not even a blade of grass could be found in this place. The ruins of the transcending heaven cult were still standing there. However, there was no sign of life. Whoosh 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 whoosh. A pair of wings appeared on Yi Qinghan's back as he teleported and flew. His speed was even faster than that of a great sage. Yi Qinghan grunted, a sharp light shooting out of his eyes. It seemed to be able to pierce through the void and see the end of the world. Baleful aura pervaded the air, reaching the western Xiang's sacred land. Yi Qinghan rushed in from afar like a hot knife through butter, quickly disappearing into the sacred land's territory. Fanin and the charity saint had just arrived at the eternal sword Dao's sacred land when the sinful soul caught up to them. Accept your death. Become one with me and become truly immortal. The so-called eternal immortal realm is within your reach. The sinful soul roared and formed tangible hands to grab at the two beauties. Its goal was no longer to kill, but the immortal sealing mark on Fanin's forehead. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! The two beauties fled in the air, their figures flickering as they reached the limit of their endurance. Instead of widening the distance between them, they closed the gap. Boom! A sinister wave of air rushed in from behind, sweeping through the mountains and rivers to envelop the two beauties. The charity saint was a seasoned saint. She used the wave of air to twist her body and accelerate. She reached out to grab Fanin and charged diagonally into the heart of the eternal sword Dao's sacred land. Whoosh! Boom! The sinful soul attacked relentlessly. It could reach the area shrouded in black mist in an instant, but there were no humans or other creatures here. Fear and other negative emotions were thin, limiting its speed. Whoosh! Suddenly, a beam of golden light shot into the sky. The light of a blade sliced through time and space, tearing apart the black clouds as it streaked across the air above the two beauties. That's the light of Berserk. The charity saint was familiar with Yi Qinghan. She knew that Yi Qinghan was nearby. Victory is ours if I can last. Fanin's hair stood on end. She felt like the sinful soul could devour her at any moment. Her desire to live was strong, but even her voice had changed. The sinful soul also sensed Yi Qinghan's presence. It was furious and roared, "Even if you're here today, you'll only be able to watch me kill the woman you love. And this is what happens to those who oppose me." Whoosh! A thick black cloud covered Fanin and the charity saint. Baleful aura rushed madly into their bodies. "Hug me," Fanin shouted. She reached out and hugged the charity saint. Her body emitted a layer of immortal light, isolating the sinful baleful aura. The resentful soul could not rush into their consciousness. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! Fanin continued to flee with the charity saint. Unfortunately, in the eyes of the sinful soul, this was nothing more than a last-ditch struggle. Boom! The sinful soul formed a huge demonic figure. It fell from the sky and smashed directly at the two. Banged! This punch carried a terrifying soul attack as it slammed into the immortal light barrier that Fanin had unleashed. Slivers of baleful aura seeped into the immortal light like worms. In the blink of an eye, it was about to penetrate their defenses. Moreover, their bodies were still in midair. In the blink of an eye, they were smashed into the ground. Boom. Whoosh. The two bodies were smashed into the ground. The earth was torn apart, and the mountains and rivers were shattered. They did not even have a chance to escape. Cracked, a shattering sound echoed through the mountains and rivers. The rain barrier that Fanine had unleashed shattered. The charity saint immediately propped up a defensive barrier. Her thick love wrapped in baleful aura, killing intent and resentment suppressed each other. It actually managed to hold on for a moment. The love of an ant is so unbearable. The sinful soul roared. It was extremely disgusted with the aura of the charity saint. It was even unwilling to be tainted by the pure great Tao of love on her. The sinful soul's eyes were red. It appeared above the two from afar. It gathered its strength and was about to smash down. Fanine did not dare to think too much. She mobilized the immortal sealing mark to form a defensive shield. It expanded infinitely and enveloped the two of them, forming a second line of defense. She only hoped to delay for a moment and buy some time for Yi Qinghan. Chapter 22:17. The evil soul didn't give Yi Qinghan a chance to retaliate. It attacked Fanine and Charity's defenses repeatedly. Fortunately, their secret arts were effective against the evil soul. Any other saint would have perished long ago. Boom! The earth cracked and split apart. The two saints were smashed into a deep, bottomless abyss, shrouded in a thick murderous aura. They couldn't even see their own fingers. It was as if they'd been plunged into purgatory. Even the shield created by the immortal sealing mark was on the verge of shattering. Charity's great Tao of love wouldn't be able to hold out for much longer. In the distance, Yi Qinghan sensed the evil soul's frenzy. The saints and great saints of the great world were all in the coiling dragon's secret realm. Charity was the only one who could hold out for so long. He immediately charged madly toward the Sword Tao's sacred land. 5 elements escape, whoosh. 5 elemental void escape technique, whoosh. Yi Qinghan kept changing. A streak of flame burned the evil soul's resentment and purified everything. The space-breaking star-seizing hand tore through the void and reached for the distance. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The star-seizing hand tore through the void and reached the Sword Tao's sacred land. Evil soul, you bastard! You're forcing me to fight to the death with you. Boom! The star-seizing hand passed through the evil soul's deepest resentment and tore through the earth, creating a giant crater. Lava gushed out and flooded the air, drowning much of the dark aura. Yi Qinghan was like a madman when he went berserk. He didn't even care about his own life. His black hair billowed in the air as he alternated between the 5 moves of the space-breaking star-seizing hand. The evil soul had no choice but to dodge. Otherwise, its core would be damaged, and the victor would be unknown. Whoosh, whoosh. Yi Qinghan's figure flashed out of Shixiang and into the Sword Tao's sacred land. Whoosh. The immortal light of the golden bell shield of the 5 elements soared into the sky, almost breaking through the 6th level and entering the great saint realm. Woo woo woo, the dark and cold winds wreaked havoc as the black fog retreated. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared without a trace. However, the killing intent did not recede. The evil spirits had already retreated and were looking for an opportunity to kill Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan suddenly stopped in his tracks. Even though he knew that the Holy of Charity was right in front of him, he did not dare make any rash movements. This was because the sinful soul was already staring at him. A chill rushed out from the bottom of his heart. Yi Qinghan could not help but clench his fists. The immortal sect's 5 elements golden bell shield erupted, covering 100 meters around him. The 5 elements shifting technique's mental cultivation method was also secretly gathering, allowing him to escape from this land of death at any time. Yi Qinghan, there's a path to heaven but you don't want to take it. There's no door to hell but you insist on coming. Without the blessings of a great sage, I'd like to see how you'll survive today. A cold voice exploded in the sky. It was very scattered, and it was impossible to see the true location of the evil soul. Yi Qinghan slowed down and he slowly approached the Holy of Charity and Fanine. At that very moment, Fan Yin and the Holy of Charity had just escaped from the abyss of purgatory. They felt as though they had died once. The two great beauties' eyes were filled with terror. The negative emotions they were feeling were even stronger compared to ordinary humans. Women were women in the end. Who would not feel fear when encountering something like this? Yi Qinghan stared into the distance, his eyes flashing with light. Unexpectedly, Fan Yin was here as well. He could not stop himself from breathing a sigh of relief. Yi Qinghan brought out his berserker hammer and looked around with a frown. Then he said solemnly, "Sinful soul, let's make a deal. Let us leave, and within 3 years, I will find a way to leave Eternal World. This Eternal World's 10 great pocket dimensions are all yours. I will not interfere with any of your matters. Regardless of whether we meet again in the future, I will keep my distance from you. Otherwise, even if you kill me off today, I will be able to tear off half your life." Trying to scare me? That's right. I grew up being scared. The more you try to scare me, the less confident you are. Do you think you can leave here alive today? The evil soul was still looking for an opportunity. It did not dare to act recklessly. Generally speaking, Yi Qinghan was no match for it. There was quite a big gap between them. However, Yi Qinghan was 3 times faster than it. It did not want to let Yi Qinghan escape today. Yi Qinghan pushed his defenses to the maximum and quickly approached the two beauties. After a few days, he finally arrived beside them. Yi Qinghan quickly pulled the two beauties into the immortal sect's 5 elemental golden bell shield. His face was solemn. The evil soul had not made a move for the past few days. Instead, it had allowed him to save the two beauties. However, it had disappeared without a trace. Yi Qinghan had no idea what it was up to. "Do you have a way to kill this devil?" Fan Yin asked with a look of horror. Yi Qinghan was silent for a moment before shaking his head. "This thing has already transcended. I can't do anything to it, but it can't do anything to me either. However, once it devours the world's consciousness, it will have the ability to change the world's fate. Furthermore, it can control the world's order. This world will be completely demonized. It can even transform into a demonic immortal. Its strength is probably even more terrifying than an immortal. Gulp. Fan Yin and Charity Saint swallowed a mouthful of saliva and could not help but shudder. Yi Qinghan could not find the evil soul's whereabouts. Hence, he turned to look at Charity Saint and Fan Yin. When he saw the immortal sealing mark on Fan Yin's forehead, he was stunned. He did not expect the immortal sealing mark to appear in her consciousness. This immortal sealing mark is... Yi Qinghan did not know anything about the immortal sealing mark. Thus, he could not stop himself from asking out of curiosity. This is the one and only immortal sealing imprint of Eternal World. Only those who possess the immortal sealing imprint can attain the Tao and reach the ageless immortal stage. This is something that the world's consciousness left behind for itself. However, it is incapable of controlling the laws and order of the world right now. As for you, you and the adjudicators were incapable of completely killing off the evil soul. That was especially true when you tried to make a deal with the evil soul. Due to that, the world's consciousness no longer trusted you. Thus, it held back and passed down the immortal sealing imprint to a fated person. Xia Jiulong was the first inheritor. Unfortunately, he failed to discover the immortal sealing imprint and was instead killed by you. The immortal sealing imprint contains all of Xia Jiulong's memories and insights. Humph! The corners of Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched and he snorted. The world's consciousness never trusted me from the very beginning. If it hadn't, it would not have had Xia Jiulong as its first inheritor. Seeing the displeased look on Yi Qinghan's face, Fan Yin revealed a wry smile. This means that the world's consciousness was right. It did not trust you. Otherwise, it would have given you all of its trump cards without holding anything back. If you succeeded in making a deal with the evil soul, this world would be finished. Yi Qinghan shrugged and said in an unapologetic manner, "I am sorry. It is every man for himself. It is not that I do not want to help the world's consciousness and the living beings of this world. It is just that I do not have the ability to do so. Why must I shoulder this responsibility?" It could not be said that Yi Qinghan was wrong. Neither could it be said that the world's consciousness was wrong. It could only be said that Yi Qinghan's ability was limited. Likewise, the world's consciousness ability was limited. Otherwise, this would not have happened. Chapter 22:18. Fanning didn't know how to convince Yi Qinghan to help the world's consciousness completely suppress the evil soul and save the living beings of this world. Yi Qinghan was right, there was no way to argue. Charity Saint had a helpless expression. She cultivated the Tao of love and naturally wanted to save all living beings. However, she was also clear about the strength of the evil soul. Yi Qinghan didn't have the ability and yet she still wanted him to resist. Wasn't that the same as sending him to his death? The three of them were silent for a long time and the evil soul didn't appear. It was as if it had disappeared. Did it change its mind? Yi Qinghan frowned. He didn't believe that the evil soul would let him go so easily. Is it trying to get the world's consciousness to deal with us? The divine bird ran out curiously and sniffed around. It didn't find the evil soul and felt that it had left and wasn't here. Yi Qinghan's eyebrows twitched. He had a bad premonition. Let's not worry about it first. Let's find the exit of this world. Back then, Void Palace number 9 said it very clearly. Just because we don't know doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It said that there is a bigger world outside this world. Perhaps the civilization is different, but at least it's a place to live. I can't stay in this eternal world any longer. Yi Qinghan clenched his fist and said in a deep voice. Charity Saint didn't have a choice, but Fanning did. Little Yi, help me resist for 10,000 years and let me deal with the evil soul. Is that okay? Fanning's eyes shone brightly as she asked expectantly. Yi Qinghan frowned. 10,000 years? He might not even be able to resist for 1,000 years. Once Xia Zhaoyang and the other great sages learned the star-plucking hand and sacred destroying finger and stepped into the eternal immortal realm, the enemies wouldn't be just one or two. Senior Sister Fanning, it's not that I don't want to help you. It's just that I can't do it. Yi Qinghan replied in a deep voice. But there are still countless living beings begging. And since the world's consciousness has chosen you, shouldn't you lend a hand? It's only 10,000 years. You can join forces with all the great sages and use the Shrouding Sky secret realm or some other secret realm as your foundation. Defending for 10,000 years shouldn't be a problem, right? Fanning asked unwillingly. Yi Qinghan shook his head and said, Senior Sister, your thinking is too simple. The evil soul can't be killed at all. It's just that it hasn't recovered yet and is blinded by hatred. It's too resentful towards me, which is why it keeps chasing after me. When it wakes up, it'll know how to defeat us one by one. It'll kill the Spectre God first, then the Emperor and the Grandmaster Heaven Sage. When that time comes, its power won't be what it is now. Sister Fanning, let's give up for now. If we could do it, Qinghan wouldn't give up halfway like this. The Saint of Universal Love advised sadly. Fanning did not understand and was very angry. She felt that Yi Qinghan should not be like this. Since he had this ability, why was he not willing to help the world's consciousness? Why were they not willing to help all living beings? Yi Qinghan sighed and pulled the two of them, saying, Let's go back to the Coiling Dragon Mystery Realm first and discuss with the other great sages before making a decision. With that, Yi Qinghan took the two of them and teleported, rushing in the direction of the Coiling Dragon Island. The Immortal Sect's 5 elements teleportation technique allowed one to come and go without a trace. Their speed was terrifyingly fast. However, Yi Qinghan did not know that the evil soul had already reached the edge of the great world. It actually used a roundabout tactic and decided to kill the other great sages first before destroying Yi Qinghan. Just as Yi Qinghan said, the evil soul's resentment towards Yi Qinghan was too deep, even surpassing its hatred towards Xia Zhaoyang. That was why it had been chasing after him all these years. Now, it understood that Yi Qinghan was someone who cultivated immortal techniques. It would not be easy to kill him completely. It might as well kill the other great sages first before destroying Yi Qinghan. In the sea between the Coiling Dragon Island and the Great World's mainland, a cloud of black fog rode the wind and broke through the waves, quickly breaking through the Coiling Dragon Island. A bolt of lightning struck, and a gale swept across the sea. The seawater condensed into the character immortal, and the immortal technique seized the soul. As long as you do as I say, killing Yi Qinghan won't be that difficult. The evil soul looked at the immortal character that seized the soul and laughed sinisterly. World consciousness, why are you reminding me? Because there is no need for those who betray me to exist. Boom! The sea rolled up waves again, as if a person was waving his hand to right. The world consciousness was reminding the evil soul. Yi Qinghan did not want to fight, but the world consciousness was forcing him to fight. On one hand, it was to take revenge on Yi Qinghan. On the other hand, it was to save itself. Aren't you afraid that I'll devour you as well? The evil soul stopped and condensed into a human form, covered in black fog, and asked coldly. As if the sea had a spirit, it condensed the character again and replied calmly, "You won't be able to devour me. You are also my people. If I really wanted to kill you, I wouldn't need their help." After that, the sea calmed down and the immortal character dissipated. The evil soul emitted resentment. It hated all the strong people in the world, hated everything, including the world consciousness. Woo woo woo. Above the sea, a gust of wind echoed. A faint black fog flashed and entered the coiling dragon island after an hour. At this time, Yi Qinghan had just returned to the Xishiang sacred land with 2 people. In the passage of the coiling dragon's secret realm, the saints were still unprepared. The great saints and small saints were saving the refugees into their own worlds. However, their worlds could only hold a limited number of people. If they saved too many, they would not have enough resources, which would lead to the collapse of their worlds. There were many saints in the insane sect, and the 9 older saints had almost stepped into the great saint realm. Their worlds were much bigger than the small saints' worlds. They saved about half of the people. Unfortunately, the other great saints and small saints took away another quarter. But the remaining quarter stood in the small region, looking around blankly, waiting for the saints to save them. Lin Wutian returned to the depths of the land of desolation and told the immortal Peach Elder about the current situation of the eternal world. The immortal Peach Elder sighed. Even if he had great fortune, he could not save the people. Once he was surrounded by the evil soul, his defeat was only a matter of time. Looks like the eternal world is no longer safe, the immortal Peach Elder said faintly. Bailey Chenxiang felt that she was going to die. Once the evil soul devoured the entire eternal world, she would no longer be immortal. Instead, she would be easily killed. Immortal Peach Elder, do you have a way out of this world? Green Lotus Sword Immortal frowned and asked. The immortal Peach Elder looked at the chaos in the sky and said helplessly, "As far as I know, there is such a way. But the world consciousness will not allow us to leave. The passage will be blocked. Without killing the evil soul, no one can leave." Lin Wutian said in a muffled voice, "It can't drag us to die with it, right?" The immortal Peach Elder smiled bitterly and said, "If you stay, there is at least a glimmer of hope. If you leave, it will have no chance at all. Do you think it will let you leave? Then it should recognize a great sage as an immortal. Otherwise, how can a great sage kill the evil soul?" Lin Wutian said unwillingly, "It is not even an immortal. How can it recognize you as an immortal? It is only the consciousness of this world. It has yet to take shape, so it cannot interfere too much. To become an immortal, maybe it is a matter of a higher world. Maybe there is no such thing as an immortal. In any case, I have never seen an immortal." The immortal Peach Elder had existed in this world for countless years. He was almost as old as the world consciousness. But he had never seen an immortal. Perhaps this realm did not exist. It was just a realm created by a great sage. Just as everyone was silent, Bailey Chenxiang suddenly opened her eyes and cried out, "The evil soul has appeared in the passage of the small domain." Lin Wutian and the immortal Peach Elder were shocked. It was too late to go back and warn her. Chapter 22:19. In the passageway of the small realm, a murderous aura permeated the air and hundreds of flowers withered. Bailey Chenxiang immediately received a response and discovered the evil spirit. Unfortunately, she did not have time to inform the other sages and great sages. The evil spirit was too fast and had reached the central region in the blink of an eye. The ghostly Grandmaster was waiting leisurely, as if this calamity had nothing to do with him. As long as he could escape with his life, it was fine. However, he was still afraid. Whoosh! The murderous aura was weak, but it was everywhere. It slowly approached the central region. The ghostly Grandmaster frowned as he looked into the distance. He felt a chill down his spine as he sensed danger. However, when he turned around, the sky was endless. Hundreds of flowers bloomed, but there was no aura of death. Have I been too nervous recently? The ghostly Grandmaster frowned and muttered to himself. Whoosh! Whoosh! Just as the ghostly Grandmaster was puzzled, darkness enveloped him and a cold wind swept him up. Boom! The ghostly Grandmaster was shocked. He waved his hand and smashed the darkness, but the boundless murderous aura rushed into his body. Even the heavenly Buddha Lord, who had the body of a devil Buddha, could not resist it, let alone him. Save me! The ghostly Grandmaster screamed in fear. He continuously unleashed the power of the ghostly Grandmaster, trying to devour the evil spirit. However, the difference in power was too great. In the blink of an eye, half of the ghostly Grandmaster's life force was devoured. The negative emotions strengthened the evil spirit's power. Holy Finger of Annihilation. Whoosh! Boom! Xia Zheoyang and the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage unleashed the Holy Finger of Annihilation at the same time. Two fingers tore through the void and shattered the stars, but they could not stop the evil spirit. Whoosh! Whoosh! The evil spirit took the ghostly Grandmaster and left. Endless darkness blocked the path of the two great sages. In the blink of an eye, they were gone. Damn it! Why is it in the small realm? Didn't it leave the coiling dragon's secret realm with Yi Qinghan and enter the greater world? Xia Zhaoyang was furious. Although the ghostly Grandmaster was not particularly powerful, he was still a great sage. He could not deal with the evil spirit, but he could easily resist the Holy Emperor. With the ghostly Grandmaster dead, Xia Zhaoyang had lost an arm. The Holy Emperor saw the ghostly Grandmaster being swept away. Instead, he smiled. The great sages were now truly balanced, and he was even. However, the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage saw a deeper layer. The enemy now was not Xia Zhaoyang, but the evil soul. Every time the evil soul devoured a great sage, its strength would increase by 30%. If it devoured another 2 or 3 great sages, it would break through its limit sooner or later. The great sages would not even have the chance to defend themselves in front of it. At this time, Lin Wutin had just rushed over. When he saw the star explode in front of him, he knew that he was a step too late. He couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Is Ghost God dead? Lin Wutin asked in a low voice. The heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage glanced at Lin Wutin and replied sadly, he should be dead. This evil spirit is becoming more and more human. It knows how to scheme. However, it is still evil. If we can't find a way to deal with it, we can only wait for death. Then let's find a way to leave eternal world. Lin Wutin said without hesitation. They were indeed master and disciple. He had the same idea as Yi Qinghan. He just needed to protect the Kuang sect. He did not want to be the savior. Xia Zhaoyang looked at Lin Wutin coldly. He clenched his fist. Only he knew what was on his mind. Even Yi Qinghan could not guess. As long as I am careful enough, the evil spirit can't do anything to me. This is the best time to learn the immortal techniques. I can't let Yi Qinghan escape. He has to stay and fight with me. Once I master all the immortal techniques, killing Yi Qinghan is no longer important. Becoming an immortal is the most important thing. Xia Zhaoyang's eyes swept over Lin Wutin as he muttered to himself, Yi Qinghan is such a vile person. If he doesn't feel pain, he won't fight to the death with the evil soul. If Lin Wutin is killed by the evil soul, he probably won't leave. Yi Qinghan didn't know what Xia Zhaoyang was thinking. Even the world's consciousness didn't know. Otherwise, he wouldn't have led the evil spirit to kill the great sage and destroy the Kuang sect. He would have angered Yi Qinghan step by step. The adjudicator was also like a headless fly. He had the immortal techniques and the adjudicator technique, but there was nothing he could do. At this time, the sages in the small domain gathered together. They were very vigilant and didn't dare to relax. A few days later, Yi Qinghan, Brahma-in, and Sage of Universal Love arrived at the passageway leading to the minor city. Before the aura of the sinful soul could even spread out, Yi Qinghan's expression flickered, and he picked up speed. After a few days, he appeared at the end of the minor city. Lin Wutan, the adjudicator, and the other great sages were all there, except for Patriarch Ghost God. "Is the Kuang sect okay?" Yi Qinghan asked directly. Lin Wutan saw that Yi Qinghan had returned and was overjoyed. He quickly replied, "Master, the Kuang sect didn't suffer any losses. However, the Kuang sect was taken away by the evil spirit. We don't know if he's dead or alive." Phew! Yi Qinghan heaved a sigh of relief and glanced at the saints. Although he wasn't the strongest, Xia Zhaoyang and the other two great saints needed his help. They wouldn't be able to do anything. As for the arbiter, he didn't even have the support of the firmament, so there was no need for him to take him seriously. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan took out half of the green lotus origin and handed it to Lin Wutan. He said calmly, "Give this to her. Then come back and discuss with me what to do next." If Green Lotus Sword Fairy knew that half of the origin had returned, she would be overjoyed. Lin Wutan was naturally even more overjoyed. He took the half of the Green Lotus origin and returned to the land of chaos. Yi Qinghan waited silently. Now, he could only rely on Void Palace number 9 to find the exit of the world. It was something from the previous civilization and had a deeper understanding of this world. If it couldn't find the exit, it would be difficult to leave. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Qinghan paced quickly. He thought of the previous civilization, the civilization before the previous one. When a civilization develops to its peak, it will inevitably fall and be buried in time. However, the world's consciousness has never died. Why is that? Now that the civilization is about to fall, there are no signs. The cultivator civilization hasn't developed to its peak, but a great calamity has occurred. Why is that? Yi Qinghan thought silently. His fingertips trembled slightly as if he had thought of something terrifying. But eras fall one after another, and civilizations are born again? Because the world's consciousness is about to lose control of this civilization, so it wants to destroy it. Because the world's consciousness wants to create a new civilization and self-evolve, a new civilization is born. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. He didn't have any evidence now, so he could only guess. However, if he guessed correctly, then the world's consciousness was too terrifying. That immortal sealing imprint should be the world's consciousness's own. It is cultivating to the immortal realm and condensing the immortal sealing imprint. It is only a small step away. It can't comprehend it, so it can only let the people of the world comprehend it and then find that opportunity themselves. Hiss hiss hiss. Yi Qinghan sucked in a breath of cold air. He didn't dare to think too much. The more he thought, the colder his back became. Chapter 22:20. Yi Qinghan's brain was about to explode. He felt like everyone was an enemy. He couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he tried. He could only sit on the ground like a cripple, holding his head and scratching his head. The Saint of Universal Love walked over and squatted in front of him. She used her jade-like hands to gently stroke his head, using the gentle power of love to soothe his frustration. She whispered, "What are you thinking? If we really can't fight, we can just retreat. You don't have to bear the responsibility and make yourself suffer." Yi Qinghan sat on the ground and squeezed his forehead with all his might, repeatedly exhaling. He couldn't get rid of that thought from his mind. The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. Now, the only person who could prove his conjecture was Void Palace number 9. It's not a question of whether to fight or not, but who the enemy is, Yi Qinghan said hoarsely. The Saint of Universal Love didn't understand. The enemy was already very clear. Wasn't it just the evil souls? Yi Qinghan didn't explain. He didn't want to explain. Who would believe such an explanation? Xia Zhaoyang and Fanning would probably treat him like a fool. Moreover, there would be more enemies. Even Fanning wouldn't believe it. Fanning had the immortal sealing imprint in her mind. Whatever she knew, the world's consciousness knew. Xia Zhaoyang didn't care about Yi Qinghan's annoyance. He walked over and said straightforwardly, "Sect Master Yi, the immortal technique you promised us, the second form of the star-picking hand. Does it still count?" Yi Qinghan let go of his hand and leaned against a rock. He stared blankly at the sky and revealed a self-deprecating smile. He was still immortal after all. He could deal with people, but he was powerless against evil souls. He was even more clueless against the world's consciousness. Who is the enemy? Yi Qinghan ignored Xia Zhaoyang and muttered to himself. He really didn't dare to trust anyone else now. At most, he could trust his brothers and sisters in the insane sect. As for Green Lotus Sword Immortal, the Adjudicator, Fanine, and the others, he didn't dare to trust them. "Sect Master Yi," Xia Zhaoyang said coldly. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and looked at Xia Zhaoyang from the corner of his eyes. He said indifferently, "Yes, of course. I will teach you the second move of the star-plucking hand. However, now is not the time. Let's save our lives first. Now that the evil soul is not here and you have nothing to do, this is the best time. How long do you want to wait? Or do you not want to teach any more?" Xia Zhaoyang asked in a deep voice as he pressed on. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. He was a shrewd man, so how could he possibly help his enemy grow? He was not sure who the enemy was and how many there were. However, he was certain that Xia Zhaoyang was definitely an enemy. The evil soul was also an enemy. As for Fanine, she was an enemy for the time being, and an enemy that he did not know how to deal with. Putting her down was equivalent to giving her to evil souls, and taking her away was equivalent to taking the world's consciousness's eyes with him. "Say something," Xia Zhaoyang shouted angrily. As a dignified holy master, when had he ever been so aggrieved? What's more, he was being controlled by a little brat. Yi Qinghan finally looked up at Xia Zhaoyang and asked, "Xia Zhaoyang, do you know who your enemy is? Isn't it just evil souls? How could I not know when I created them myself?" Xia Zhaoyang's face turned cold. This was the first time a junior had called him by his name. He was so angry that his voice had turned hoarse, but he still had to endure it. How sad. You don't even know who your enemy is, yet you are drooling over immortal techniques. Your enemy is not just evil souls. There is also me and of course, Yi Qinghan said mockingly. However, in the end, he realized that he was just as sad as Xia Zhaoyang. He did not even know who his enemy was. The corner of Xia Zhaoyang's mouth twitched as he sneered. He and Yi Qinghan were enemies, and that was something that could not be changed. "You and I are enemies. Do you think that I will nurture you?" Yi Qinghan asked. "We are still comrades in the trenches. You have to do what you promised me," Xia Zhaoyang said coldly. Yi Qinghan smiled sinisterly. He stood up and said, "In the past you were, but now, you are not. You are just a piece of trash that relies on me to survive. Do you still think that you are the #1 sacred lord in the world? Based on your current martial arts, based on the 9 disciples of the prefecture lords? In my eyes, you are not even worth a single blow. If you leave me, evil souls will find you at any time. When that time comes, you won't even have the chance to kneel and beg for mercy. What right do you have to negotiate with me?" Xia Zhaoyang was furious. His aura surged, and the stars millions of miles away broke free from their shackles, forming a vision of the sun, moon, and stars appearing at the same time. "You are the first person who dares to speak to me like this." Xia Zhaoyang growled sinisterly. "Kakaka." Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fists and waved his hand. His battle robe covered his body, and the 7-chi heavy saber emitted a saber light that tore through the void. His battle-intent sword. "In the past, no one dared to go against your will. However, it is different now. Not only do I dare to go against your will, but I also dare to kill you." Yi Qinghan said coldly. "Can you do it? Even if you and Lin Wutian join forces, you will still be trampled under my feet." Xia Zhaoyang replied coldly. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's body glowed with golden light. The 5 elements golden bell shield enveloped him, and the battle was about to begin. At this moment, the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage saw that Yi Qinghan was beginning to turn hostile. However, he did not want to offend Yi Qinghan, nor did he want Yi Qinghan and Xia Zhayang to completely fall out. He quickly stood in the middle and said, "Both of you, please calm down. We are facing a great enemy now. After all, we are still human. However, evil souls are not. If we kill each other, won't it be letting evil souls off easy?" The emperor's sage frowned. In this situation, Yi Qinghan's temper was not supposed to fall out with them. Why did he suddenly turn hostile? Yi Qinghan stared at the three great sages. Then, his expression changed and he laughed at himself. He thought about the warning from the world's consciousness. Now, it seemed that nothing could be trusted. Those of you who want to leave can leave now. Those of you who want to follow the Kuang sect, I will not chase you away. I will be honest with you. I will not fight with evil souls again unless they seek death and provoke me. Yi Qinghan scanned the sages. He could not even see through the chess grandmaster. Now that he thought about it, the arbiter was a person blessed by the heavens. How did the chess grandmaster know? Why did the arbiter respect the chess grandmaster so much? Huff, huff, huff. Yi Qinghan exhaled a few mouthfuls of turbid air. He extended his hand and said, "Chess grandmaster, can you give me the star chessboard in your hands?" The chess grandmaster was stunned, but he still returned the star chessboard to Yi Qinghan. "Qinghan, what's wrong with you?" the chess grandmaster asked sadly. Yi Qinghan smiled and bowed. Yi Qinghan is still the Yi Qinghan of the past. It's just that things have changed. The world has changed and so have people's hearts. I can only believe in myself. Of course, I am indebted to the chess grandmaster, so I naturally trust him. However, this star chessboard is not mine. Seeing that he was about to leave, he could not help but reach out to stop him, hoping for an explanation. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan only gave her a calm look. Then he said, "Senior sister, do not worry too much. Let me calm down first. When I find a solution, I will naturally return." After that, Yi Qinghan pulled the charity saint and followed Lin Wutian into the land of chaos and nothingness. Their figures flashed, and their speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the land of chaos and nothingness. No one dared to follow them, including the great sages. If they got lost in the land of nothingness, they would not be able to use their spiritual senses. Sooner or later, they would die here. Half a day later, the three of them appeared in this small region. Only Kuang Zong and the other saints were present. The rest of the people lived in the small world of the saints. The immortal peach tree took root in the center. The sky above emitted light, forming a huge defensive shield. The chi of nothingness could not invade this place. Green Lotus Sword Immortal sat under the immortal peach tree. Relying on the immortal chi emitted by the immortal peach tree, she desperately refined the remaining half of the origin. Her combat power advanced faster and faster. Back then, she was a legend. She was the first person to kill a saint before the immortal technique was invented. This sword technique was her own creation. It was almost comparable to the immortal technique bestowed by the world consciousness. All the saints of the Guangzong were here. Yi Qinghan glanced around. Without saying anything, he came to the immortal peach tree. He sat on a rock that was half the height of a person and stared at the immortal peach tree. The immortal peach tree looked at Yi Qinghan and did not say anything. It only swayed the leaves of the immortal peach tree, and immortal light filled the air. Yi Qinghan looked at the immortal peach tree and pondered for a long time. Finally, he asked, "Immortal peach immortal, let's talk. How much do you know about the world consciousness?" "Not much. We barely communicate." The immortal peach tree transformed into a dignified old face and said softly, "Then how many civilizations have you experienced? Do you know about the last mechanical civilization?" Yi Qinghan asked again. The immortal peach tree stared at Yi Qinghan for a long time. It completely transformed into an old man and sat not far away from Yi Qinghan. It said faintly, "I did not expect you to know about the civilizations before the cultivator civilization. Actually, I have experienced 3 civilizations. I have seen them fall one by one and then slowly rise one by one. I more or less understand the evolution of the world." "You have seen the birth and fall of 3 civilizations?" Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. He stood up and asked, Then in your opinion, is the fall of these civilizations an inevitable result of human development, or were they pushed to their deaths by a pair of invisible hands? The immortal Peach Elder was confused. He had never thought about this before. He only felt that the fall of each civilization was due to human self-destruction. The world consciousness always thought of ways to save the people. Just like now, it constantly gave opportunities to the people to save themselves. Yi Qinghan stared at the immortal Peach Elder. He said seriously, "You feel that the world consciousness is constantly saving the people. It is constantly giving immortal techniques, immortal sealing imprints, etc. It is even sending out warnings, right?" The immortal Peach Elder quickly nodded. Yi Qinghan raised the corner of his mouth and snorted coldly. "Then why is it that when civilizations fall, not a single human survives? The world consciousness can survive alone? How did you manage to survive?" The immortal peach tree was stunned. It naturally knew how it survived. Every time it escaped into the depths of nothingness. But how did the world consciousness survive? Every time there was a great calamity, the terrifying demon-like existence was already invincible. How did it die in the end? "The death aura of nothingness has no effect on me. That is why I survived the fall of two civilizations," the immortal peach tree said honestly. "Then what about this time? Do you have the confidence to escape the pursuit of the evil spirits? I believe that in the end, the evil spirits will not care about the death aura of nothingness. Because these things are not afraid of death aura," Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. The immortal Peach Elder shook his head and sighed. "This time, I do not have the confidence to survive. But I dare to guarantee that the world consciousness will survive and can destroy the evil spirits," Yi Qinghan said firmly. The immortal Peach Elder was shocked. He frowned and looked at Yi Qinghan. After thinking for a long time, he asked in a low voice, "You mean that everything is caused by the world consciousness?" "I feel that it wants to evolve itself. Every time it encounters a bottleneck, it will give birth to a civilization. It will watch the evolution of the world and improve itself step by step. When humans are about to escape its control, it will push for the end of the world. That is why civilizations fall and disappear without a trace. If it was not for Void Palace number 9 being preserved, I would not have doubted the world consciousness. It would be just like how the people of the world respect it," Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Lin Wutian, who was standing in the distance, was stunned. He was shocked by Yi Qinghan's guess. Chapter 22-22. At this moment, not to mention Lin Wutian, even the immortal Peach Elder was stunned. Yi Qinghan's conjecture was indeed bold and terrifying. It made one's hair stand on end. Everyone fell into deep thought. Only Green Lotus Sword Immortal was still in seclusion. Time passed, and 3 days passed in a flash. Bailey Chenxiang suddenly woke up and said, "The evil soul is here again, whoosh, whoosh." Yi Qinghan's figure flashed and left. He returned to the starting point of the small region and appeared in front of everyone. The great sages and small sages looked at Yi Qinghan with heavy expressions. No one knew what Yi Qinghan was thinking. "The evil soul is here. Everyone, be on guard," Yi Qinghan said calmly. Boom! The sages' auras erupted. Their holy weapons were awakened and they waited for the war to come again. However, the evil soul sensed that Yi Qinghan was beside the sages. Knowing that there was no chance to attack, it quickly retreated. This small region of stars once again fell into silence and harmony. Yi Qinghan returned to the world created by the immortal peach tree and asked straightforwardly, "We can't fight against the world's consciousness now. We can only choose to leave. Immortal Peach Elder, do you have a way to leave Eternal World?" The immortal Peach Elder shook his head and replied bluntly, "I have been in this great world for so many years. I have been to almost every place, but I have never found the exit. Every time I reached the end, it was an endless land of nothingness. It was as if there was no sky beyond the sky." Yi Qinghan gave up on asking the immortal peach tree. He turned to Lin Wutian and transmitted his voice. "Let's go to the 9th Void Palace's cockpit and ask it. We can't completely trust the immortal peach tree now." Lin Wuqian and Yi Qinghan silently walked far away and summoned the ninth void palace. Now, only the cockpit was left. However, the evil soul didn't harm the ninth void palace's source. The two entered the cockpit and directly opened the ninth void palace. They didn't have many heavenly sacred stones left, so they were very frugal. The ninth virtual palace opened, and the fairy-like girl appeared on the screen again. She looked at Yi Qinghan and Lin Wuqian as if she had a soul. Void Palace number 9, you told me before that there is an end to eternal world. Beyond this world, there is a higher level world. I want to know if you have any way to bring us out of eternal world and head to a higher level world? Yi Qinghan asked solemnly. The little elf raised its head and pondered. It didn't know how much knowledge and memories were hidden in its host computer, and it wouldn't forget them. In theory, yes. Little Fairy thought for a while and said. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and asked, what do you mean theoretically? If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. Don't try to reason with me. It is possible. However, there needs to be a limit to break the shackles. In order to break this limit, however, the amount of energy needed is immeasurable. I might need to gather the purest heavenly sacred stones in this entire world. Only then will I have enough power to break the shackles. So, that is not possible, the little elf replied in a clear voice. Yi Qinghan sat on the chair, clutching his head. He was utterly speechless. Communicating with something that was not from the same civilization was too tiring. Can you put it simply? You need a limit to break this space and enter a higher level space? Yi Qinghan asked with a frown. The little elf looked at Yi Qinghan, momentarily at a loss for words. After thinking about it, it said, let me put it this way. Eternal world is a circle. The space and time within the circle are in balance. If you want to break the balance between space and time, you can distort space and time. You can even travel to the past and the future. You can also jump out of this space and enter another space. Do you understand? Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. He was stunned by the little elf's idea. How much energy is needed to break the balance between space and time in this world? Yi Qinghan asked. Probably about 100 existences like you, the little elf said truthfully. Yi Qinghan leaned back in his chair dispiritedly. He and the little elf stared at each other. After a long time, he clutched his head and sighed. Heavens! Who told you all this? This is simply impossible. Nonsense. You are so ignorant. This is called the conservation of energy. The energy of this world is fixed. When its energy is not conserved, everything will naturally be broken. Time and space are also included in the energy. Sai, we are not from the same civilization. I can't explain it. I won't talk to you anymore, the little elf said angrily. Lin Wuqian and Yi Qinghan looked at each other. Even though Lin Wuqian was now the master of Void Palace number 9, he still did not understand the so-called conservation of energy. Breaking the conservation of energy could actually allow one to travel through space and time? Wouldn't that be changing history? If I had this power to break the balance of space and time, wouldn't I be defying the heavens? Lin Wuqian asked tentatively. What are you thinking? Even if you reach that level and break the balance of space and time here, do you think you can still break the conservation of energy when you go to a higher world? The little elf asked mockingly. Even if you can break the balance of this world now, the world will naturally adjust. Next time you want to break it, you will have to advance again. Yi Qinghan and Lin Wuqian shrugged. They did not understand. However, they understood that when one's power reached the limit, they could break the balance of space and time and enter another world. It was not easy to leave this world. It would require 100 existences like Yi Qinghan to work together to break the balance. Where would they find 100 great sages? Yi Qinghan fell into deep thought again. It seemed that the temporary enemy was still the evil souls. Do you have a special way to destroy the evil souls? Yi Qinghan looked at the little elf and asked curiously. This kind of species is more special. Its power comes from the negative emotions of all living things. When all living things in the world perish and civilization falls, it will die with the passage of time. The little elf said directly. Wait, you mean that even if this era falls, the evil souls will still not hurt the world's consciousness? Instead, they will self-destruct? Yi Qinghan grasped the key point and asked immediately. Yes, it doesn't even have the source of its power. How can it hurt the world's original consciousness? The little elf asked curiously. Yi Qinghan slapped his thigh, stood up, and said, I understand. The world's consciousness has always been giving blessings to improve humans, allowing us to advance towards the immortal realm. It then comes to understand human cultivation methods and techniques. It looks like it's saving the world, but in reality, it's just using the potential of humans to perfect itself. Becoming an immortal realm. Yi Qinghan paced back and forth, looking for the key to becoming an immortal realm. He murmured, the immortal sealing imprint is something condensed by the world's consciousness. The prison Heavenly Tao scripture and Fan Yin's immortal scripture are immortal techniques that the world's consciousness changed through human cultivation. They are not immortal techniques, but they are infinitely close to immortal techniques. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists and narrowed his eyes, trying to guess the realm and ability of the world's consciousness. At this moment, Lin Wutian asked curiously, is there a way to kill the evil souls without destroying humans? Yi Qinghan also looked at the little elf, hoping that this civilization from his previous life could help him. In theory, there is. The little elf said frankly. Damn, in theory again. Is there any practical way? Lin Wutian and Yi Qinghan said in unison. Chapter 22-23. Yi Qinghan and Lin Wutian said in unison, glaring at little fairy. This girl always liked to talk about theories, but what was the use of theories? Little fairy was in disbelief and said, theoretically, it can be done, which means it can be done. If it can't even be done in theory, then it can't be done. I said it can be destroyed in theory, so it should be good news. Why do you look like that? Yi Qinghan's head was hurting so much that he could only sit down and rub his head. He didn't even bother to look at little fairy anymore. He asked directly, tell me, how can we get rid of the evil soul? According to the law of conservation of energy, as long as you refine the evil soul, you will be able to control the endless negative emotions in the world and transform them into true power. You will have an endless source of energy and will become an invincible existence. The more living beings there are, the stronger your strength will be. The little fairy excitedly explained, but as far as I know, your souls cannot withstand the negative emotions of countless people, so you will not be able to refine the evil soul. Instead, you will be swallowed and refined by the evil soul. Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched as he stared at the little girl on the screen. His eyes flickered, and he felt that this method might not be impossible. How much do you think my strength needs to increase before I can refine the evil soul? Yi Qinghan asked in a serious voice. Little fairy looked at Yi Qinghan and gestured with her mouth. Inject the power in your body into the wall. I will compare it with the evil soul according to your peak power. The data will be out soon. Yi Qinghan looked at the 9th wall of the Void Palace. Almost 1/10 of it was left. With only this much left, one could imagine how terrifying the evil soul was. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan stretched out his big hand and mobilized the power in his body to press against the wall of the cockpit. The peak power of the 5th style of the star-picking hand and the peak power of the 2nd style of the sacred finger merged quickly into the wall, and the power kept increasing. The wall that couldn't be destroyed before was now trembling. Buzz! The 9th wall of the Void Palace issued a yellow warning, which meant that there was an enemy invasion, and the invasion force was not small. After a long time, Yi Qinghan's power reached its peak and stopped increasing. The little girl on the screen immediately felt it. Whoosh, whoosh. Lines of small words appeared on the screen. The data of the evil soul from before was extracted and constantly compared. The terrifying power was digitized. The power of the previous civilization's power was not to be underestimated. An hour later, a number appeared on the screen. 1285. Yi Qinghan didn't understand what this number meant. The little girl on the display said, this means that your strength has increased to 128. 5 times and you can refine evil souls. Yi Qinghan's eyelids twitched. His strength had increased by so many times before he was able to refine the sinful soul. Not even the great saint realm. I'm not talking about pure power, the little girl said. I'm talking about the fusion of your soul, will, and other data. If you take another step forward and enter the Great Saint realm, your physical strength will increase by 10 times, your soul power will increase by 10 times, and your will increase by 10 times. Overall, your power will increase by more than 100 times. Phew, Yi Qinghan breathed a sigh of relief. It was good that he knew the way to deal with the evil soul. As for how to refine it, it was very simple. As long as he deliberately lost, the evil soul's origin spirit would naturally invade his soul. It would not be difficult to refine it by force. Is it theoretically possible to refine the world's consciousness and seize the heavenly Tao fruit? Yi Qinghan asked with a grin. The little girl on the screen stared and mocked. Theoretically, you're crazy. Yi Qinghan did not expect the host to be so humane. It was indeed the crystallization of the previous civilization. Then I'll have a good fight with you. World's consciousness, let's see if you're using me or if I'm using you. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He got up and left the Ninth Void Palace. His face was no longer serious. He looked at the immortal peach tree and Green Lotus Sword Fairy with a smile. Green Lotus Sword Fairy was now finishing her work. She formed a seal with her palms. The Green Lotus Immortal Sword in Lin Wutian's hand flew out and rushed to her side. In an instant, her temperament and aura changed. Whooshed up the flute on Yi Qinghan's waist flew out of his control and back into Green Lotus Sword Fairy's hand. Whoosh. The Green Lotus Sword Immortal waved his hand and grabbed the flute. He was as calm as the wind and clouds, and as graceful as an immortal. He coldly glanced at Yi Qinghan, and the bamboo flute transformed into a sharp sword that pierced through the air towards Yi Qinghan's throat. A small flute could tear through nothingness. It was even more terrifying than a great saint weapon. The power of the killing saint enveloped Yi Qinghan. Boom! In the blink of an eye, Green Lotus Sword Fairy stabbed Yi Qinghan's throat. Bang! The bamboo flute pierced Yi Qinghan's throat. However, his body dissipated. Yi Qinghan had already teleported away and appeared behind Green Lotus Sword Fairy. He hugged her waist from behind and pressed down on her right arm with his other hand. What? You just got the origin of Green Lotus and you want to bite the hand that feeds you? Yi Qinghan lowered his head and whispered into Green Lotus Sword Fairy's ear. Let go of me. Green Lotus Sword Fairy said coldly. Yi Qinghan smiled coldly and said, Let go of you and let you continue chasing me? I already want your body. Even if you kill me, you won't be able to change what happened back then. Moreover, I've spent a lot of effort to find your origin. Don't you know how to be grateful? Grateful? Do you dare not to help me find it? It was easy for me to kill you back then. Green Lotus Sword Fairy struggled fiercely, but Yi Qinghan's arm was like steel. Yi Qinghan replied proudly, It's different now. You can't kill me. Of course, I won't give you a chance to use your sword. I'm not that stupid. The Green Lotus Sword Song was the #1 sword technique in the world back then. It has the power to kill a sage. I won't underestimate it. Lin Wutian and the others saw that Green Lotus Sword Fairy had turned hostile and quickly gathered around. Jian Chenxue and Lin Wutian looked confused and asked, Senior Green Lotus, what are you doing? Aren't you friends? Green Lotus Sword Immortal's eyes were filled with malice. Back then, Yi Qinghan had taken advantage of the situation to take his body. Although the mortal body was nothing more than a bag of skin to a great sage, Yi Qinghan had not only taken his body, but had also violated his soul. This was a disgrace. For the #1 expert in the world back then, it was unforgivable. She had endured the humiliation for so many years. Now that she had found her origin, there was no need to endure it anymore. Chapter 22-24. Green Lotus Sword Fairy turned hostile in front of everyone without any preparation. The people of the insane sect were caught off guard. They thought that Yi Qinghan and Green Lotus Sword Fairy would be together, but instead of being together, they became enemies. Yi Qinghan held Green Lotus Sword Fairy's waist and pressed down on her arms. No matter how unparalleled her sword Tao was, she could not shake Yi Qinghan's steel-like body. Green Lotus, you underestimate me. I'm not who I used to be. I thought you had thought it through after so many years, But I didn't expect you to be so stubborn. You can't blame me, you forced me. I saved you out of kindness, but you repaid my kindness with ingratitude, so I had to take revenge on you. Now that I've helped you find the origin of Green Lotus, you're repaying my kindness with ingratitude. Do you want me to take revenge on you again? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. How dare you? Green Lotus Sword Fairy's beautiful face was distorted, and her voice was hoarse as she roared. Slap. Yi Qinghan casually slapped her perky buttocks and tossed out the Green Lotus Immortal Sword with a wave of his hand. Boom! The sword stabbed into the ground at Lin Wuyan's feet, and he said coldly, Keep the sword. Adat Green Lotus Sword Fairy screamed and roared angrily, cursing Yi Qinghan. But Yi Qinghan didn't care about her. Yi Qinghan grabbed Green Lotus Sword Fairy's throat and put her on his shoulder. His figure flashed, and he left the newly opened domain. An hour later, he appeared in front of Xia Zhaoyang and the other great sages. Everyone looked at Yi Qinghan carrying a peerless beauty. Many people didn't know Green Lotus Sword Fairy, but there were many who knew her. Green Lotus Sword Fairy, the most beautiful woman in the world, had the strength to kill a saint. She was unique, but now she was being carried by Yi Qinghan without any resistance. It was particularly shocking. The 9 lords of the holy nation, including Xia Zhaoyang, were shocked. Yi Qinghan carried the Green Lotus Sword Immortal and ignored her struggling. Instead, he said, I've decided to have a real fight with the evil souls. If you help me, that would be for the best. If you don't, I'll join forces with the sinful souls to kill him. I'm a very easygoing person, but I'm also very difficult to negotiate with. Those who follow me will prosper, and those who oppose me will perish. When Yi Qinghan said this, his gaze swept across all the sages, including Chess Venerable Saint, Xiahou He, and many others. Now, other than himself and Kuang Zong, he did not trust anyone else. Other than Chess Venerable Saint's eyes, the others had the same expression. They felt that Yi Qinghan was arrogant and domineering. It was somewhat likable but also somewhat repulsive. However, Yi Qinghan had agreed to deal with the evil souls. Chess Venerable Saint's gaze was somewhat frightening. His gaze was too wise. Previously, Yi Qinghan felt that Chess Venerable Saint had reached the pinnacle of the human world and was a truly wise almighty. His wisdom was more than 1 level higher than the divine birds. He was a true saint and truly had no desires. But now, standing in the same position, Chess Venerable Saint was somewhat incredulous. I hope you are the saint that I revere in my heart, and not the world's consciousness that I fear. Yi Qinghan lowered his head and carried the Green Lotus Sword Fairy into the distance. The sages watched as Yi Qinghan headed towards the hinterland. No one dared to follow. On the other hand, the adjudicator was excited. He definitely hoped that Yi Qinghan would join forces with him to deal with the evil souls. However, Yi Qinghan could not be bothered with those people. He directly carried the Green Lotus Sword Fairy towards the hinterland. Now, there was no one in the hinterland, but the buildings were still there. The evil souls had not destroyed everything. They had only swept away the ghost god patriarch. Yi Qinghan, you bastard! Put me down. Otherwise, I will kill you today. Green Lotus Sword Fairy roared. Yi Qinghan sneered, Today, I will teach you how to be a woman. Those who dare to be arrogant and despotic in front of me, one is a dying man, and the other is my woman. And you are nothing. I will give you a choice later. First or second. Yi Qinghan, you beast. If you dare touch me again, you can sleep with your eyes open in the future. Green Lotus Sword Fairy roared. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently and walked towards a lonely hall. He said calmly, I have always slept with my eyes open. Because other than my brothers and sisters in the arrogant sect, I do not trust anyone in this world. I have risked my life for so long. I know how to repay kindness, but I also know how to take revenge. I cannot take that loss. You have repaid kindness with enmity time and time again. If I cannot take you today, I will kill you. When the word kill came out, it was cold and full of determination. Even the Green Lotus Sword Fairy was shocked. Yi Qinghan had really wanted to kill him. If the Green Lotus Sword Fairy dared to disobey, he would definitely not be able to escape from Yi Qinghan's ruthless hands. Boom! Yi Qinghan stepped up the stairs and quickly arrived at the remote hall. The room was empty and there were only some weeds and thorns around. No one had lived here for many years. Everything was very desolate. Yi Qinghan glanced around. He knew that the people had taken everything with them when they migrated. However, the bed and blankets were not taken. The doors and windows of the room were tightly shut. There was no dust and it was still considered clean. Bang bang bang. Yi Qinghan hit the major acupoints on the Green Lotus Sword Fairy's body a few times. Sacred power spread out and directly sealed all of the Green Lotus Sword Fairy's origin energy. Boom! Yi Qinghan kicked open the door and threw the Green Lotus Sword Fairy on the bed. He waved his hand and tore apart a piece of lotus clothing. The green lotus curled up like a little girl and glared at Yi Qinghan angrily. I was the one who found your origin energy for you. I was the one who fished your body out of the dirty water of purgatory. I was the one who gave you your life. Yet you repaid my kindness with ingratitude twice. Tell me, should I kill you today, or should I kill you? Yi Qinghan looked at the Green Lotus Sword Fairy on the bed with a vicious expression. His vigorous face was filled with killing intent. Who would not believe that he was a bad person? Yi Qinghan, you destroyed my body and ruined my reputation. Don't you deserve to kill me? The Green Lotus Sword Fairy asked angrily. You're fucking unreasonable, aren't you? When I cleaned your body, it was to save you. You were also the one who asked me to clean it. After cleaning it, you wanted to kill me. Can't I take revenge on you? Are women supposed to be unreasonable? Yi Qinghan reached out and pressed on the dark green doo-doo. He sneered and said, You can't beat me in logic. You can't beat me in strength. What do you have to fight me? The Green Lotus Sword Fairy's slender white legs kept kicking. She said in fear, Yi Qinghan, let me go. From now on, we will mind our own business. It's too late. I said that you only have two choices today. The first is death. The second is complete submission. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan pinched the dark green doo-doo and pulled it hard. A perfect body appeared in front of him. It was delicate and pitiful, but it also had the luster of a saint. It made people drool. I choose death. Just kill me. I will never submit to you. The Green Lotus Sword Fairy curled up and said angrily. The sense of shame of the strong was much stronger than that of mortals. She had already endured it once. She did not want to endure it a second time. Chapter 22-25. In the heart of the minor domains passageway, in a lonely hall, there was a heart-wrenching scream. Blue Lotus Sword Immortal was enraged to the extreme, but he was as weak as a mortal, unable to resist at all. Yi Qinghan didn't have the slightest bit of pity for the fairer sex. At this time, being gentle to Green Lotus Sword Immortal was being cruel to himself. Times were different, and he didn't have the patience to change Green Lotus Sword Immortal's twisted heart. Some things had to be dealt with in extreme ways. If he couldn't conquer Green Lotus Sword Immortal, then he would destroy her. At the edge of the bed, Yi Qinghan gently stroked his flute. His eyes flashed with a faint killing intent. Green Lotus Sword Fairy was filled with anger and resentment. This kind of person could not be conquered. She was too headstrong. Put on your clothes. I'll give you a dignified death. Yi Qinghan said coldly as he took out a battle robe and threw it at Green Lotus Sword Fairy. Green Lotus Sword Fairy clutched the battle robe and looked at Yi Qinghan with resentment. The thing I regret the most in my life is letting you live. Green Lotus Sword Fairy said coldly. Yi Qinghan turned to look at the pitiful Green Lotus Sword Fairy and said indifferently, I do not regret saving you in this life. Your existence does not matter. Am I so worthless in your eyes? Green Lotus Sword Fairy asked angrily. Yi Qinghan replied indifferently, You have to ask yourself that. A person's value is determined by her attitude. If she's an enemy, then no matter who she is, she's not worth mentioning in my eyes. If she's a family member, then no matter if she's a person or an object, she's unparalleled in this world. I saved you not because you were beautiful or strong enough, but because I felt that we shared the same ideals and goals. Unfortunately, you didn't know how to appreciate my kindness and chose to bite the hand that fed you. That's why you ended up like this. You can't blame anyone for your death. Green Lotus Sword Fairy slowly put on her clothes. She did not speak. She only coldly looked at Yi Qinghan's back. Yi Qinghan stroked his flute and calmly said, "Dying by your own life weapon will not dirty you. I will use the Green Lotus Sword song to kill you." The Green Lotus Sword Immortal did not want to admit defeat or beg for mercy. After putting on his clothes, he lay on the bed and closed his eyes as he said, "Kill." Yi Qinghan gripped the bamboo flute. Sword light shot out in all directions, and killing intent filled the air. He stared at the beautiful face of Green Lotus Sword Fairy and slowly stabbed down. However, he still hoped that she would admit her mistake. Hold on. At this moment, the divine bird could no longer watch on. It ran out to stop Yi Qinghan. It flapped its wings and stood in front of Green Lotus Sword Immortal. Yi Qinghan squinted at the divine bird and said faintly, "Get out of the way. I've made up my mind." "No, if you could bear to, you would have killed her long ago. You have feelings for her and she did not want to kill you before. Otherwise, she would not have used the bamboo flute but the Green Lotus Immortal Sword. You are both stubborn enough. I don't want you to regret it. You should calm down." The divine bird said seriously. Yi Qinghan's hands trembled. The bamboo flute softly hummed, and a trace of sadness flashed in his eyes. "Give me a chance. I want to have a chat with Green Lotus Sword Immortal. Just one incense stick of time." The divine bird said firmly, "If you don't give me a chance, this sword will pierce through my body." Yi Qinghan had never seen the divine bird so resolute and so serious. He could not help but sigh. He put away the bamboo flute and left the room. Inside the room, Green Lotus Sword Immortal's eyes flowed with tears. Her jade-like hands clenched the bedsheets. Her heart was filled with hatred. The divine bird looked at Green Lotus Sword Immortal and sighed. "Green Lotus Great Sage, you have grown up for so many years and have seen all kinds of people. But have you seen someone like my boss? Guangzong was willing to risk his life for him, and he was willing to risk his life for Guangzong. For you, he was willing to use immortal techniques to exchange for half of your origin with Xia Zhaoyang. Do you think his goal was those resources? Without those resources, he could have comprehended the imprisoning heavenly Taoist scripture with his talent. Why would he risk it to exchange with Xia Zhaoyang? For the common people? I know people like him too well. Even if the world's consciousness died, as long as Guangzong was fine, he would not shed a tear. He exchanged for half of the origin for you. That was a gamble with his life. If Xia Zhaoyang had comprehended the sacred finger of annihilation and the star-picking hand, he would be the first to die. Why would he exchange for it without hesitation? Because you are important. He wants to kill me. His will is firm. If I were important, would he kill me?" Green Lotus Sword Immortal asked angrily. The divine bird scolded disdainfully, "You two idiots. If he wanted to kill you, he would have stabbed you long ago. Why would he wait for me to come out? I saw it, so I came out to persuade him. Otherwise, do you think I would dare to come out and block his sword?" Green Lotus Sword Immortal was silent. Asking her to admit defeat now was more painful than killing her. He is a person who cares about his reputation. He is giving himself a way out. In fact, you don't want to kill him. You just want to teach him a lesson. If you don't have him in your heart, you can use Green Lotus Sword Immortal to kill him. It is still unknown who will win and who will lose. Since you like him, why don't you smile sweetly and fall for him? The divine bird sighed and said, "He is very irritable now. He can't distinguish between friend and foe at all. His guess has been confirmed. Now his brain is in a mess and he can't calm down at all. You shouldn't have angered him at this time." Green Lotus Sword Immortal frowned and asked, "Isn't the enemy the sinful soul and Xia Zhaoyang? If he has some brains, he can see that. How can he not distinguish between friend and foe?" "You are wrong. Very wrong. The real enemy is not the two of them at all. They are just defective goods. With boss's current cultivation, if a great sage wants to kill him, unless several great sages join forces. But there is another enemy, and that is the world's consciousness." The divine bird quickly told Yi Qinghan about his guess. Green Lotus Sword Immortal didn't think about it at first, but after being reminded by the divine bird, her whole body tensed up. It is pushing the birth and fall of civilizations. It is doing experiments? Green Lotus Sword Immortal said to herself in horror. The divine bird nodded and said, "Yes, we are just ants raised in captivity. We will be born when we are needed, and when we are no longer needed, we will fall. That is why Boss is so irritable and wants to take you all away from this world. So, at this time, he is like a bomb that will explode at the slightest touch. Don't bother with him. Even if you don't admit your mistake, go up and hug him." Green Lotus Sword Immortal opened her eyes, which were emitting light. Is this the difference between a man and a woman? Why does he keep it to himself and is unwilling to admit it? Green Lotus Sword Immortal asked. Because he is a man. The divine bird patted its chest and said, "I am also a man, so I understand him." Green Lotus Sword Immortal sat up in shock and said self-deprecatingly, "In the past, I always felt that I could do everything by myself. When did my mentality change? There are many things that I am too lazy to think about." The divine bird secretly smiled, knowing that Green Lotus Sword Immortal's mentality was changing. As for whether she would admit her mistake, that would depend on whether her self-esteem was strong enough. Green Lotus Sword Immortal walked out of the hall wearing the battle robe that Yi Qinghan gave her. She had a different style. Yi Qinghan stood not far from the hall and looked at the stars. He felt that Green Lotus Sword Immortal had come out, but he didn't turn around. Green Lotus Sword Immortal slowly walked behind him and hugged Yi Qinghan from behind. She said softly, "Sorry, I shouldn't have been so willful." Chapter 22-26. The word, sorry, that came from the mouth of the number one expert of that time was definitely different from the previous one. Yi Qinghan also wanted to take the initiative to apologize to Green Lotus Sword Fairy, but there were so many things on his shoulders that he could not breathe. How could he coax a woman at this time? Green Lotus Sword Fairy took the initiative to apologize. A word of apology made him give in. Yi Qinghan reached out to hold Green Lotus Sword Fairy's hand and whispered, "It's okay. What do you plan to do next?" Green Lotus Sword Fairy asked. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment, shook his head and said, "I'll take it one step at a time. But I've decided to cultivate to the Great Sage Realm first. This is the most crucial step for our victory." To the people of the world, the Great Sage Realm was something that could only be encountered by chance. From the birth of this civilization to the end, including the newly advanced adjudicator, Lin Wutian, the Spectre Ancestor, the Heavenly Buddha Great Sage who died when he was born, the three Great Sages of the older generation, and the Green Lotus Sword Fairy, there were only 8 of them. There was also the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock, and only 9 of them. 9 was the extreme number. After 9, it would return to 0. Yi Qinghan was the person who made 9 return to 0. Perhaps this was the will of the heavens. Those great sages who were suppressed were no longer great sages. Their souls were sealed and their physical bodies were nowhere to be found. Their souls could not control the energy of the world. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment, then held Green Lotus Sword Fairy in front of him. He looked down at her enchanting face and said softly, "Let's merge. I'll teach you immortal techniques and you'll help me become a great sage." Green Lotus Sword Fairy's face turned red. She lowered her head and nodded slightly, agreeing to Yi Qinghan's request. Yi Qinghan's figure flashed and set up a large array in all directions. The enchantment reached the sky and formed a huge defensive shield. Light shone in all directions. Nothing could be seen from the outside, but everything could be seen from the inside. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan carried Green Lotus Sword Fairy back to the main hall. He suppressed the divine bird into his bloodline and directly sealed the sacred beasts in his body, blocking them from his own senses. Then, he carried Green Lotus Sword Fairy to the bed and pressed her under his body. He reached out and untied her battle robe. Green Lotus Sword Immortal had been fused with by Yi Qinghan twice, but he had been unwilling both times. This time, he had taken the initiative to attack. Qing Lian was indeed a divine object that grew in water. As soon as he was aroused, the water overflowed. It was soft and smooth, the best of the best. Most importantly, her body contained a terrifying amount of saint energy and life essence. It was the greatest supplement in the world. Anyone who fused with it would be able to progress 1,000 miles a day. Yi Qinghan lost himself in the battle and used his past experience to launch a frenzied attack. Green Lotus Sword Immortal did not understand these things. He only knew how to silently receive Yi Qinghan's attacks and subconsciously perform some indescribable actions. Divine Sense Condense and use the art of fusion. Fuse with my soul and help me become a supreme saint. Yi Qinghan's body operated on its own. Immortal qi flowed through his limbs and bones. The endless power of heaven and earth swarmed into him and turned into immortal qi as soon as it entered his body. As the two souls merged, Yi Qinghan felt how mysterious the souls of the supreme saints were. Their souls merged into one, and he once again used the sacred finger of annihilation and the space-piercing star-picking hand. It was so easy for him to kill a saint with a wave of his hand and suppress all the great paths in the heavens. Even the first finger of the sacred finger of annihilation was more than 100 times stronger than the previous peak state. The power of the same immortal technique in different realms was completely different. Yi Qinghan now understood the true mystery of the heaven-imprisoning Taoist scripture. Although this was only the first few layers of the technique and did not involve moves above the immortal realm, it was enough for him to evolve the later parts of the technique in time. After Yi Qinghan fused with Green Lotus Sword Immortal Soul, he began to recomprehend the sacred finger of annihilation, the star-picking hand, and the 5 elements immortal techniques. Every move had to be recomprehended. Suddenly, Yi Qinghan was enlightened. All the fog was forcibly torn apart. A lifelike little person formed in his sea of consciousness. Its facial features were exactly the same as Yi Qinghan's, but it was many times smaller. Its hands were constantly forming immortal seals. Under the friction of the physical body, the soul was stimulated to become stronger. His spiritual power was full, and any technique he cultivated would be twice the result with half the effort. Green Lotus Sword Immortal had never felt this way. Her soul was so comfortable that it was about to explode. Her body trembled involuntarily. Her hands wrapped around Yi Qinghan's broad shoulders. Her soft moans were like the most beautiful flute music in the world. Time passed quickly, as fast as lightning. 10 years passed in a flash. Rest, cultivation, rest, and cultivation. Day after day, year after year. The evil soul completely absorbed the power of the supernatural Grandmaster in the coiling dragon mystery land and grew stronger. It returned to the passage of the small domain from the mystery land and saw the soaring enchantment. After a few probings, it knew that the person inside must be Yi Qinghan. It did not disturb him and went deeper, heading straight for the gathering place of the saints of the greater world. It had been 10 years, and Yi Qinghan had not returned. Their defenses were getting weaker and weaker. However, the great saint was still cautious, afraid that he would become the second supernatural grandmaster. Jin Lei, Long Peng, and Lin Wutian stayed together and formed a tripartite formation with the adjudicator. It seemed like an ordinary distance, but in reality, it was still the 3-terminal formation. If anyone dared to sneak up on one of them, the other 2 would explode. At this time, everyone wanted to protect themselves. No one wanted to live alone. Jin Lei, Long Peng, and Lin Wutian guarded the entrance to the small domain opened by the peach tree. Xia Zhiyong, the Holy Emperor, and the Heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage had formed a temporary alliance. They were all studying the star-picking hand and the saintly destroyer finger, hoping to evolve the 3rd finger of the saintly destroyer finger. As for the small saints, they were stationed not far from the great saint. They always felt that if the evil soul came, the great saint would be able to detect it in advance. Therefore, they had been vigilant in the past few years, but had relaxed in the past 2 years. The 9 prefectures of the Holy Empire were stationed together. Xiahou He and some other strong cultivators were stationed together. The Saint of Chess and other saints were also stationed on the other side with a group of eternal saints. A cold gust of wind blew, and even the saints could not help but shiver. They opened their eyes and looked forward. The sky suddenly darkened, and they could not see their fingers in front of them. Ah, the enemy is here. Boom. Whoosh. The evil soul roared and attacked Xiahou He and the others with a powerful soul attack. The 9 saints were attacked by the evil soul in an instant. Some of the weaker saints did not even have the chance to scream before they lost consciousness. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Although Xiahou He was the latest to reach the Tao, his strength was definitely not weak. The moment he felt the attack, he instinctively retreated with his sword. The sword light tore through the front, and a powerful aura rushed forward, hoping to block the evil soul for a moment. Xiahou He escaped to the rear, but Xiahou Jizun and the others did not have a chance. Their souls were controlled by the evil soul, and their bodies lost control. They were swept away by the cold gust of wind. The black fog dissipated, leaving behind a group of terrified saints. Chapter 22-27. All of a sudden, 8 sages were gone. There were still countless living beings hiding in the sage world. Everyone was stunned and had goosebumps all over their bodies. Even Lin Wutian and the others felt an unprecedented fear. The evil soul was becoming more and more terrifying and human-like. He had begun to understand how to use strategies. The 6 great sages had all awakened. Looking at the mess in front of them, they did not know what to do. Excluding the sages of the arrogant sect who were still hiding in the land of chaos, there were only about 30 sages in the macro world. Now, 8 of them had been taken away, a quarter of them were gone. Bush, 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 bush. The Arbiter was furious. He was a heaven executioner, but now he was like a stray dog. The world was destroyed, and he was useless in hiding. I can't take it anymore. Even if I die, I don't want my soul to suffer anymore. I want to go to the secret realm of the coiling dragon and fight it to the death. The Arbiter held the judgment and stepped forward resolutely. Lin Wutian took a deep breath. He knew that the Arbiter would be a friend or a foe in the future, so he did not stop him. However, Xia Zhaoyang knew that he could not let the Arbiter die. He appeared in front of him and said in a low voice, "Arbiter, the sword in your hand is the key to killing the evil soul. You can't go to your death yet." The Arbiter looked coldly at Xia Zhaoyang and the other great sages and snorted. "If we don't fight now, what's the point of fighting when we are all dead? Or are you waiting for Yi Qinghan?" He said that he would not fight the evil soul again, and then he said he would fight again. Do you believe him? Are you waiting for him to come back? Maybe he has already left with the Green Lotus Sword Fairy. Lin Wutian held his sword and did not reply. Even if the whole world did not believe in Yi Qinghan, the arrogant sect would not doubt him. At this moment, not to mention the others, even Fanning suspected that Yi Qinghan had already left. Instead of waiting, it was better to fight. Life and death were predestined. I agree to join forces and kill the evil soul. As long as we kill the evil soul, we will have a way to live. If we don't fight now, it will sooner or later take us down one by one. Everyone will be finished. Fanning said in a deep voice. In these 10 years, although Fanning did not comprehend to the great sage realm, her cultivation was probably second only to Yi Qinghan. This was because the world's consciousness was helping her comprehend the immortal tome. The world's consciousness had already comprehended the first part of the immortal tome. The most important part was the latter part. The little saints didn't dare to say too much. The key was still the great saints. Xiazhong, the Holy Emperor and the Heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage looked at each other. The light in their eyes had already revealed their stance. Before they reached the never-wither immortal realm, they would not risk their lives to fight the evil spirits. Even if the entire world perished, it was fine as long as they did not die. The world's consciousness had already informed the Arbiter and Yi Qinghan of their thoughts. The Arbiter understood, so he did not have much hope. He could only look at Lin Wutian and Jean Lei Longrock. Lin Wutian looked at Jean Lei Longrock and shook his head lightly. His eyes indicated that he should not act rashly. Jean Lei Longrock also had his own target, which was Xia Zhaoyang. However, now was a special time. He had been suppressing his hatred. As for killing the evil spirits, he did not care. The Guangzong will not fight at this time. If you want to die, I will not stop you. Lin Wutian said coldly. Fanning was a little angry. She scolded angrily. Wen, where did your master go? Does he want to help the common people? Does he want to save the world? Lin Wuqian looked at Fanning and bowed slightly. He replied like an elder, Martial Aunt, forgive me for not saying too much. Only my master knows what he is thinking. As for whether he will help the common people, it depends on whether he has the ability to do so. If his ability is limited, you can't let him die, right? Nonsense. Fanning scolded angrily. Everyone knows how strong he is. He cultivates the immortal technique bestowed by the world's consciousness, which is specially used to deal with evil souls. If he doesn't have this ability, who else can? Lin Wuqian was neither servile nor overbearing. He stood there and stared at Fanning and the Arbiter. He said lightly, Martial Ant also cultivated the immortal method given by the world's consciousness. The Arbiter cultivated the art of adjudication and the blade of adjudication. According to what you said, the two of you also have a way to kill the evil spirits? Fanning and the Arbiter were very angry. They did not understand which side Yi Qinghan was on now. Without the support of Xia Zhaoyang and the other two veteran great saints, Lin Wuqian of the Guangzhong sect, Jin Lei Longrock, and Yi Qinghan, it was impossible to shake the evil spirits with just the Arbiter and Fanning. Fanning and the Arbiter were well aware of this. They could only sit on the stone helplessly, holding their heads and thinking hard. Chess' venerable saint, who was standing in the distance, was not afraid at all. He did not even have any emotional fluctuations. He kept looking at Lin Wuqian calmly, as if he wanted to see through Lin Wuqian's origin and see what Yi Qinghan was really thinking at this moment. Now, no one dared to go to the hinterland. Whoever went would die. Everyone could only stay here in a group. Lin Wuqian saw the look in Chess' venerable saint's eyes. He did not know that Yi Qinghan even suspected Chess' venerable saint, so he still maintained his respect and bowed slightly. Whoosh! Chess' venerable saint stepped lightly and came to Lin Wuqian's side. He sighed softly and said, Wen, your master and I are old friends. Tell me the truth. Where did your master go? Is he really going to give up on the outside world? Lin Wuqian shrugged and said helplessly, Chess Saint, it's not that I want to hide it from you, but I really don't know where he went. As for whether he will give up, in my opinion, he should not. I don't know anything else. At this moment, Yi Qinghan and Green Lotus Sword Fairy were still fighting. In the past 10 years, other than occasionally comprehending celestial techniques separately, they had spent the rest of their time in dual cultivation. Not only did they improve their realms, but more importantly, Yi Qinghan used Green Lotus Sword Fairy's soul to comprehend the third finger of the Sacred Annihilation Finger, the sixth move of the Star-Picking Hand, and the last core of the Immortal Sect's 5 Elements Golden Bell Shield and the Immortal Sect's 5 Elements Shifting Technique. Yi Qinghan's long spear was tightly clamped. That comfortable feeling made his soul sublimate and strengthen continuously. He almost stepped into the great sage realm. He was only a hair's breadth away. Green Lotus Sword Fairy was also comprehending the Sacred Annihilation Finger and the Star-Picking Hand. With the support of her powerful soul, she could clearly see what Yi Qinghan comprehended. In the past 10 years, not only did her life origin not weaken, it had strengthened a lot. Yi Qinghan had used the medicinal properties of Green Lotus's origin to increase his cultivation by dozens of times. This was the benefit of dual cultivation. If Yi Qinghan had continued to plunder and take, Green Lotus Sword Fairy would have been refined by him. His strength would have probably advanced to the Great Sage Realm. The last step. As long as we cross it, the great calamity of evil souls should disappear, Yi Qinghan said seriously. Chapter 22-28. With the final step, Yi Qinghan forcefully penetrated into Green Lotus Sword Immortal's body. That soft and warm feeling not only wrapped around the Green Lotus Sword Immortal's root of life, but also wrapped around his soul. It was relaxed to a certain extent, and his entire being was bathed in holy light. Yi Qinghan let out a low roar as he plowed the fertile land. Green Lotus Sword Deity felt like he was about to explode. His eyes glowed and the mark of the Green Lotus appeared around him. Yi Qinghan and Green Lotus Sword Deity's souls went to the top of the clouds together to comprehend the Sacred Finger, the Star-Picking Hand, and the last move of the immortal Gate 5 elements. Yi Qinghan's soul was rapidly rising. The most powerful part of the dual cultivation technique was the sharing of souls. The first to advance was the soul. At this moment, what he lacked the most was the realm of the soul. The third move of the sacred finger was enough to shatter the balance of time and space. However, even with the fusion of their souls, they couldn't burst out their peak combat power. Because of the consumption of the immortal arts, their souls were constantly breaking through the shackles, constantly attacking and breaking through. Green Lotus Sword Deity's eyes were blurred as he watched Yi Qinghan comprehend the immortal arts. His cold heart quickly melted and he actually took the initiative to send the origin of the Green Lotus into Yi Qinghan's body. The origin of the Green Lotus was the most precious immortal item in the world. Back then, Xia Zhaoyang only got half of it and didn't devour it. Otherwise, his strength wouldn't be as strong as it was now. The origin of the Green Lotus slowly seeped into Yi Qinghan's body and strengthened his soul, making his advancement speed extremely fast. Yi Qinghan was focused on comprehending and didn't realize that he was absorbing the origin of the Green Lotus. At this moment, all the techniques became extremely easy. The third move of the sacred finger, the sixth move of the star-picking hand, the barrier was broken with a wave of his hand. Boom! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and crushed the trillions of stars in his sea of consciousness, setting off a sea of bitterness. This move didn't seem to be meant to kill saints, but to destroy everything. This move could even suppress the entire Coiling Dragon secret realm and turn it into dust. The third move was finally broken, and his soul entered the realm of the Supreme Saint. Yi Qinghan's soul seemed to have been enlightened. When he looked at the world again, everything was so clear. The origin of all matter was clearly displayed in front of him. Even a speck of dust was as big as a star. The sixth move of the space-piercing star-picking hand. The tiny person in Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness formed hand seals. Although it was only cultivating in a reverie, it was already earth-shattering. Stars flickered between heaven and earth, bathed in starlight, and tore apart the darkness. Even those places that had been destroyed by the evil souls were purified, and life began to bloom once more. At this moment, Yi Qinghan didn't even know that he was desperately absorbing the life origin of Green Lotus Sword Immortal. Green Lotus was dimming at a speed visible to the naked eye, and her cultivation was declining instead of rising. However, she didn't struggle. Instead, she took the initiative to wrap her arms around Yi Qinghan's neck and pumped faster, giving all the life origin in her body to Yi Qinghan. Green Lotus Sword Immortal gave it to Yi Qinghan on her own initiative, and there was no waste. The medicinal properties of Green Lotus were all absorbed by Yi Qinghan, allowing him to completely stabilize in the Supreme Saint realm, and it was still rising rapidly. Whoosh! A beam of holy light soared into the sky, breaking the silence of the small domain's passageway. Even though they were at the edge of the small domain, the Supreme Saints and Small Saints could clearly see a beam of holy light soaring into the sky. The 6 Supreme Saints were alarmed. The Small Saints saw the holy light spread out, as if the heavens were descending. The aura was so oppressive that even the Supreme Saints felt terrified. There's only Yi Qinghan in the hinterland. He's entered the Supreme Saint realm. Xia Zhaoyang clenched his fists and slowly looked at the Heavenly Grandmaster and the Holy Emperor. They were Supreme Saints of the older generation, but they still hadn't reached this level. Now that Yi Qinghan had entered this realm, he could threaten their lives and threaten their positions. Naturally, they would be on guard. Balance? The Heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage secretly transmitted his voice to the 2 Supreme Saints. The Holy Emperor and Xia Zhaoyang couldn't help but nod. They didn't want Yi Qinghan to be the only one who could dominate. Boom! At this moment, a wave of air swept out in all directions, shattering the galaxy. The might of a Supreme Saint was vast and mighty. An emperor's aura crushed order, and it spread all the way to the border. Although no one saw Yi Qinghan, they could already feel his battle intent and majestic will. The adjudicator was only happy. This was because Yi Qinghan had entered this realm and was much stronger than others. Together with the adjudicator technique, it was easy to suppress the evil spirit. However, at this moment, only a few minor saints were truly happy. Most of the supreme saints had solemn expressions. This was because Yi Qinghan's strength had broken the balance. With him dominating, Yi Qinghan had become the supreme saint emperor, the emperor of the supreme saints. The chess grandmaster's expression was still the same. His eyes were filled with wisdom. He glanced at Fan Yin, the adjudicator, and Xia Zhaoyang from the corner of his eyes. No one knew what he was thinking. In the greater world, in the hinterland of the holy land of Xishiang, the evil spirit condensed into a human form again. After devouring a supreme saint and 8 minor saints, his soul already possessed human nature. However, it was filled with the evilest side of human nature: greed, madness, lust. The evil spirit prepared to head to the coiling dragon's secret realm again to refine a few more saints. However, just as he turned around, a ray of golden light appeared before him. Yi Qinghan has become a supreme saint. A few words flashed in the golden light, captivating one's soul. So what if he's a supreme saint? Do you think he can kill me? The evil spirit said disdainfully. The world's consciousness understood that the evil spirit could only be killed by himself. When the evil spirit massacred all living beings, there would be no more emotions to provide him. He would definitely walk towards his own destruction without any external help. He can't kill you. However, it's better to be careful. This person is too strange. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have given him the heavenly imprisoning Tao scripture. The world's consciousness silently condensed the word, immortal, and reminded the evil spirit. Scram! Clean up and wait for me to devour you. I will be the master of this eternal world. I will create a brand new race that will trample the 9 heavens and 10 earths and create an eternal dynasty. The evil spirit roared. The world's consciousness didn't say anything else. Everything was under its control. At least for now, apart from Yi Qinghan, everyone else was under its control. Within a small passageway deep within the coiling dragon's secret realm, Yi Qinghan was in the midst of comprehending the immortal sect's 5 elemental golden bell shield and teleportation technique. He had yet to fully awaken, otherwise he would have seen Green Lotus Sword Immortal. Green Lotus Sword Immortal's face was pale from exhaustion as he slowly curled up and transformed back into his original form. A primordial green lotus took root beneath Yi Qinghan's feet. From then on, there was no more Green Lotus Sword Immortal, only this green lotus. Another 10 years passed, and Yi Qinghan opened his eyes to look at the green lotus before him. His eyes were in a daze as he looked at the beautiful flowers blooming on it. Bathed in holy light, it swayed non-stop and his heart ached incomparably. No wonder I could level up so quickly. Why did you have to be so foolish? Wouldn't I owe you for the rest of my life? Yi Qinghan knelt before the green lotus, both his hands stroking the leaves and white petals of the green lotus. His heart ached so much that he could not straighten his back. Chapter 22-29. The green lotus swayed and green light filled the sky. The sovereign of the past had returned to the primordial chaos. Everything had to start anew. But who knew that she had taken countless years to reach that step? Yi Qinghan cut open the ground with both hands and took out the green lotus from the ground. He held it in his hands. Whoosh! The divine bird rushed out of the main hall and quickly entered Yi Qinghan's bloodline. It had wanted to enter Yi Qinghan's bloodline for the past 20 years, but Yi Qinghan had sealed his spirit pet and didn't allow it to enter Yi Qinghan's bloodline. It had stayed in the room for so long, not daring to leave. Sigh, Yi Qinghan sighed. He held the green lotus and quickly teleported into the depths. Originally, it would have taken half a day. Now, he only needed one teleport to appear before everyone. The moment Yi Qinghan appeared, all the sages retreated in shock. Even the veteran great sages like Xia Zhaoyang took a few steps back vigilantly. Yi Qinghan held a green lotus in his hands as his might soared into the sky. His gaze shifted as he looked at the saints like an emperor among saints. His every move carried with it an inviolable will. Back then, there were dozens of sages. Now, 8 of them were missing. Yi Qinghan naturally noticed this. He looked around and said coldly, "I don't know if I can kill evil souls. But I will do my best. If I can't kill them, I will choose to leave eternal world temporarily. You can decide for yourselves whether you want to leave or stay. After saying that, Yi Qinghan quickly teleported to the small area created by the immortal Peach Elder. He extended his hand and placed the green lotus in front of the immortal Peach Elder. He said solemnly, "Great immortal Peach Elder, please save the green lotus. Her essence is exhausted and she has returned to her original body." The immortal Peach Elder looked at the green lotus. She had given all her good fortune to Yi Qinghan. Even if he was all-powerful, he could not help her recover. Sorry, this is not the same as saving someone. Her essence is exhausted. If she wants to return to her peak, she must rely on herself to slowly grow back. I can only speed up her progress by a few hundred years. The immortal Peach Elder said honestly. Thank you for your trouble. Yi Qinghan bowed and placed the green lotus into the immortal Peach Elder's hands. The immortal peach tree was full of immortal qi. It was the favorite existence of all living beings. Anyone who got close to it would grow faster. The immortal Peach Elder took the ancient green lotus and placed it on his shoulder with a wave of his hand. It immediately took root and sprouted. The roots directly bathed in the immortal peach origin, providing it with nutrients. After Yi Qinghan handed the green lotus to the Peach Elder, he turned around and looked at the people of the insane sect who were still cultivating. He secretly wondered what kind of price he would have to pay if he killed the evil soul at this time. After all, the enemy now was not just one evil soul. If both sides were injured, it would be the same as giving their lives to Xia Zhaoyang and the world's consciousness. No matter how powerful the evil soul is, as long as I don't confront it directly, it won't be able to threaten my life and Guangzong's life. But the world's consciousness is different. It has complete control over the birth and fall of civilizations. It will threaten our survival. Yi Qinghan was silent for a while. He sat on the rock and pondered. At this moment, no one could provide him with a reliable answer. Divine Bird, what do you think I should do now? Yi Qinghan asked in a low voice. The Divine Bird ran out and asked wretchedly, Boss, do you really want to fight the world's consciousness? That's a little unreliable. Compared to the world's consciousness, we're just like the people living in your world. Do you think they can break this world? Even if you don't interfere with the operation of the world's order, do you think anyone can go against your will? Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and asked, Then what do you think we should do? We should have a way to break the balance of time and space now. Let's leave this place first. Cultivate to the immortal realm and create a more perfect world. Why do we care so much? The Divine Bird said indifferently. As the saying went, friends die but not me. As long as it did not die, it had nothing to do with anyone who died. Yi Qinghan let out a breath of turbid air. Even he wasn't sure if he could break this balance. He wasn't even sure if he could kill the sinful souls. How terrifyingly strong did one's soul have to be to refine endless negative emotions? No matter what, kill Xia Zhaoyang first. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed as he clenched his fists and said, Whoosh, whoosh. Yi Qinghan created a flame in the land of chaos and nothingness. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of the sages. Xia Zhaoyang looked at Yi Qinghan's fierce expression, especially his eyes that were filled with killing intent. He knew that this guy was up to no good. He took a few steps back and maintained a safe distance. Although Skirich and Emperor Absolute Saint didn't reveal their hostility, they had changed their positions. They were vaguely maintaining a balance with Xia Zhaoyang, advancing and retreating accordingly. Yi Qinghan narrowed his eyes as he looked at the three great sages. He knew that Tong Tian and Emperor Sage would not betray their own interests for him. Yi Qinghan did not expose this relationship. There was no need to fall out with Tong Tian and Emperor Sage at this time. I wonder if any of you have any thoughts on killing the evil souls? Yi Qinghan asked calmly. The adjudicator stepped forward and said, The message from the world's consciousness is very clear. As long as its origin is sealed, we can use our powers to purify it completely. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and asked, How do we imprison the emotions of all the living beings in this world? It has already transcended. Can't you see that? You can't blame anyone for this. You were the one who destroyed its physical body. The adjudicator snorted coldly. Yi Qinghan shrugged, expressing his helplessness. At this moment, Chess Supremacy stepped forward and said in a low voice, "It's not impossible to imprison the evil souls. We just need a few baits. A few sages with no desires will do." No desires? It was easy to say. Who would have no desires in this day and age? Not to mention small sages, even great sages were selfish. Yi Qinghan was the same. Who can do it? Volunteer yourselves. If none of you are willing to step forward, then I'll leave. Yi Qinghan said lazily. Yi Qinghan was not afraid. At most, he could just run away. However, this group of sages and great sages could not. Everyone looked at Xia Zhaoyang, hoping that he would step forward. However, Xia Zhaoyang did not want either. He could only pretend that he did not see anything. An awkward atmosphere spread. It was as if the evil souls had descended once again. No one dared to step forward. The adjudicator said angrily, "This is not for others, but for ourselves. I'm the first. Whoever wants to step forward, come to my side." "Count me in." Fan Yin looked coldly at Yi Qinghan. Her gaze was very distant. It seemed that she was indeed angry. Yi Qinghan remained silent and pretended that he did not see anything. After all, Fan Yin was already standing against him, even if she did not know. Just as everyone was silent, Xia Hohe stepped forward. Including Chess Supremacy, there were 4 or 5 people. Unfortunately, this was far from enough. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and looked at Xia Zhaoyang. He said rudely, "Xia Zhang, you can't be a coward again, right? If a great sage does not step forward today, don't expect me to. I want to see the evil souls destroy the world." Chapter 2230. Yi Qinghan had nothing to lose. He didn't care about living beings, much less these sages. It didn't matter if they were all dead. However, these great sages were very concerned about whether Yi Qinghan would help. If he didn't, this group of people would be dead. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, everyone looked at Xia Zhaoyang expectantly. Yi Qinghan only wanted Xia Zhaoyang to help. In other words, he wanted Xia Zhaoyang's life. It had nothing to do with anyone else. Xia Zhaoyang clenched his fists and smiled. His Confucian aura turned cold and murderous. Now that they had shed all pretense of cordiality, both Yi Qinghan and Xia Zhaoyang didn't want to hide their thoughts anymore. "I'll help. No problem. However, you have to give me the second move of the T-star plucking palm. Also, the insane sect must send 9 sages." Xia Zhaoyang said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan smiled coldly and replied, "You have no right to negotiate with me. Let me ask you now. Are you going to bring your 9 lords to attack the evil souls? I know you want to kill them with a borrowed knife. When I bring my 9 disciples out, we will be halfway through the battle with the evil souls. You want us to die in battle so that you can reap the benefits. Since we will die if we don't go, why should I let you have your way?" Xia Zhaoyang asked in disdain. Yi Qinghan shrugged and looked at the other great sages and sages. "As you can see, the one who killed you is not me, but Xia Zhaoyang. I wanted to help you get rid of the evil souls, but Xia Zhaoyang didn't cooperate. I was afraid that if I helped, both sides would be injured. Then Xia Zhaoyang would stab me in the back. So, I decided not to help." Then Yi Qinghan turned to leave. "Wait, little Yi. Master Yi, this is not the time to be angry. If we fight amongst ourselves now, we will only be letting the evil spirits take advantage of us. It will only make our enemies happy." The heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage looked like a celestial being, but who could truly be like a celestial being and have no desires? The Holy Emperor also hurriedly advised, "The 2 of you, there's no need to joke around at this time. No matter what, first destroy the evil souls and return peace to the world. Let the remaining living beings flourish and restore the vitality of the world." Xia Zhaoyang took a deep breath as he indifferently stared at Yi Qinghan. He naturally wanted to leave himself a way out and didn't want to be killed by Yi Qinghan. If I make a move with Yi Qinghan's personality, he will definitely use the sinful souls to kill me. It's the same for all of you. Haven't you noticed that his attitude towards everyone has changed since he returned? He saw the world warning. Only the adjudicator and Yi Qinghan knew what the warning said. The two of them did not seem to have a good impression of us. The warning must have some negative information about us. If I die, you won't be able to escape either. Xia Zheyang glanced at the absolute holy emperor and the heavenly grandmaster grand sage and reminded them secretly. What do you mean, holy master? The heavenly grandmaster grand sage frowned and asked. The three of us must form a rope now. We are bound together for good or ill. We must not let Yi Qinghan defeat us one by one. Xia Zhaoyang's eyes flashed as he suggested secretly. The absolute holy emperor and the heavenly grandmaster grand sage looked at Yi Qinghan. Indeed, as Xia Zhaoyang said, Yi Qinghan's attitude towards everyone changed after his return. Fan Yin and the chess grandmaster grand sage could feel it the most. They felt that Yi Qinghan's soul had changed. At this moment, everyone was thinking in their hearts. The chess grandmaster looked at the adjudicator silently. Even though the adjudicator was in the great sage realm, he was still very respectful towards the chess grandmaster. He could tell that the chess grandmaster had something to say to him, so he took the opportunity to take the chess grandmaster away while everyone was silent. In a remote mountain range, the chess grandmaster's face was gloomy. He said in a low voice, "Adjudicator, now that Yi Qinghan has changed, you must be careful. I can't tell what he's thinking and what he's up to. Anyway, don't trust him too much. People like him can turn hostile and work with evil spirits at any time. When that happens, kill without mercy." The adjudicator gripped the blade of judgment tightly. The enchantment around them soared into the sky. Even if Yi Qinghan did not follow them, he would not be able to hear what was said inside. The adjudicator understands. The adjudicator bowed respectfully and replied. The chess grandmaster thought for a moment and reminded, "Let's work with Xia Zheyang for now." In order to protect himself, Xia Zheyang has to kill the evil spirits. He is different from Yi Qinghan. Even if the evil spirits do not die, Yi Qinghan is confident that he can escape. We can't afford to gamble. While the adjudicator and the chess grandmaster were discussing, the heavenly grandmaster grand sage also mentioned Fan Yin. Fan Yin had the immortal sealing imprint now. He had divined for Fan Yin many times, and every divination was the same. Fan Yin would become the first existence in the eternal world to step into the never-wither immortal realm. Yi Qinghan has really changed. It's not that I don't trust him, but you can also see that he has changed. Therefore, I hope you can understand. You should know what to do next. If you can persuade the adjudicator to work with us, the chances of victory are still very high. At the very least, we can deter Yi Qinghan from acting rashly. The heavenly grandmaster grand sage transmitted his voice to Fan Yin. Fan Yin's expression was as usual. The immortal sealing imprint on her forehead had already protruded. The light from the immortal sealing imprint was captivating. She could step into the great sage realm at any time. Fan Yin had high hopes for Yi Qinghan previously and did her best to nurture him. However, she did not expect them to turn against each other in the end. She was very depressed. However, she had inherited the immortal sealing imprint from heaven and hoped to be the savior of the world. She did not care about her personal feelings, even if it meant going against Yi Qinghan. "I understand." Fan Yin nodded and said. The Emperor Sage looked at Yi Qinghan. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to be on guard against him, even hostile. He did not want to be enemies with Yi Qinghan, but now that the Love Sage and Yar Sage were not here, there was no one to be the middleman. In order to protect himself, he could only choose to work with Xia Zheyang and the others to leave himself a way out. Moments later, the adjudicator returned to the crowd with the chess supreme. Before Fan Yin could speak, the adjudicator signaled her with his eyes and then transmitted his voice to Xia Zheyang and the other great sages. He secretly said, "Everyone, Yi Qinghan cannot be trusted now. He has a way out, but we don't. Therefore, we have to work together in the future. If Yi Qinghan escapes, we can't escape. At least, we have to force the evil soul to retreat and then find Yi Qinghan to settle the score." As soon as the adjudicator spoke, the three veteran great sages smiled. Now, there was the adjudicator, three great sages, and Fan Yin, who was about to break into the great sage realm. 5 against 3, They still had a great advantage. On Yi Qinghan's side, only Lin Wutian and Jin Lei Longpeng were great sages, but he did not care. He knew that these great sages had reached an agreement and did not change his mind. Just after the great sages reached an agreement, Xia Zhaoyang nodded and said, "I agree to fight." Yi Qinghan smiled and said, "Use the Cloud Dragon Sage and the other mansion masters as bait. The Sacred Lord is a righteous person. He will definitely do something for the sake of the common people, right?" Xia Zhaoyang suddenly became angry and said, "Yi Qinghan, don't go too far. Why don't you use the lives of the arrogant sect's sages as bait?" Yi Qinghan shrugged and replied proudly, "Because the arrogant sect has my protection. Even if the evil soul does not die, it can't do anything to the arrogant sect. But you are different." Huff huff huff. Dong dong dong. At this time, not only the 9 mansion masters, but the other sages were also frightened. They were afraid that Yi Qinghan would be unhappy and directly name them as bait. Chapter 2231. At this moment, the Cloud Dragon Sage and the rest of the 9 lords were glaring angrily at Yi Qinghan and nervously at Xia Zhaoyang. If they were to act as bait this time, they would definitely die. There was no other way. Therefore, they would definitely not agree to be bait. Xia Zhaoyang looked at Yi Qinghan angrily, but Yi Qinghan had already made up his mind. He did not even look at Xia Zhaoyang's murderous gaze. "Yi Qinghan, you are abusing your position to take revenge. Back then I did injure you. But later on, you also injured junior brother Jin Yun. What more do you want? Do you want the 9 lords to pay with their lives?" The Cloud Dragon Sage angrily questioned. Yi Qinghan faintly smiled. Looking at the Cloud Dragon Sage's fearful and angry expression, he felt an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. "We need a few sages to act as bait. If you guys don't want to go, then please recommend a few people to me." Yi Qinghan evilly smiled. Yi Qinghan threw the question to the Cloud Dragon Sage. No matter how the Cloud Dragon Sage answered, it would be wrong. The Cloud Dragon Sage flew into a rage out of humiliation and looked around. There were still more than 20 sages left. At this moment, any one of them could be the bait and force the other party to stand against him. If Yi Qinghan didn't agree, he would only end up with a few more enemies. The 9 lords were also forced into a corner. If they agreed to Yi Qinghan's suggestion, it would be the same as sending themselves to the gates of hell. But what could they do if they did not agree? Xia Zhaoyang coldly looked at Yi Qinghan and said in a deep voice, "Letting all of my disciples be bait is clearly unfair." Yi Qinghan coldly smiled and asked, "Holy Master, what is fair? You actually dare to talk to me about fairness? Do you think the countless living beings that you have slaughtered are fair? Why don't you talk to them about fairness?" "But I am different from them. The winner is king, and the loser is a bandit. We're all saints, great saints. There's nothing that can't be said. Ants are destined to be sacrificed," Xia Zhaoyang said domineeringly. Yi Qinghan rubbed his nose and smiled even more brilliantly. He waved his hand and turned into a chair. Leaning on the chair, he crossed his legs and looked at Xia Zhaoyang and the 9 mansion lords with disdain. He said indifferently, "The Saint Lord is right. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Ants are destined to be sacrificed. Right now, in my eyes, you are all ants. If I say that I want you to be the bait, you won't even have the chance to refute." At this moment, the sages of the other factions were so excited that their blood was boiling. An unprecedented feeling of satisfaction enveloped their hearts. A dignified holy leader had been forced into a corner by Yi Qinghan. At this moment, the Heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage and the Holy Emperor felt that Yi Qinghan was right. Back then, the Holy Master was powerful enough to treat everyone as ants. Now that he was treated like an ant, they felt inexplicably good. This was what they wanted to do the most for so many years. However, Yi Qinghan made it happen. Huff, huff, Xia Zhaoyang vented his anger a few times and his emotions were fluctuating. He looked coldly at Yi Qinghan and said, "Bait. 1 from each faction, 1 from the insane sect, 2 from the Holy Empire. Otherwise, we will all die together." This was not a concession, but it did not change Yi Qinghan's mind. He only replied coldly, "I don't understand what you mean by dying together. Why do you think the evil spirit can kill the insane sect? As long as I'm here, it doesn't matter if it dares to come near. You want the insane sect to be the bait? You must be drunk. To tell you the truth, in my eyes, your life is not even worth as much as an outer disciple of the insane sect. Yi Qinghan, don't go too far. I'm a great sage." Xia Zhaoyang roared. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and asked, "So what?" Xia Zhaoyang was so angry that he could not refute. Yi Qinghan not only did things strangely and evilly, but even his words were tricky and overbearing. "It's fine if the insane sect doesn't send anyone, but I have the final say in the matter of the bait," Xia Zhaoyang said angrily. Yi Qinghan was still unmoved. He replied indifferently, "In front of me, whatever you say counts. I'm talking about the Cloud Dragon Sage. But you're a great sage. Out of the 8 lords, you can pick 3 more to make your presence known." Xia Zhaoyang was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Looking at Yi Qinghan's devilish expression, he wanted to punch that handsome face. The aura of the sacred finger spread. Xia Zhaoyang rubbed it on his fingertips, murderous intent radiating. He could ignore the lives of the lords of the 9 lords, but he cared about his face. If he compromised today, he would not be able to raise his head in front of Yi Qinghan in the future. At this moment, Fanning stood out and opposed Yi Qinghan's aura. She said indifferently, "Lord Yi, I think 4 minor saints can't attract the evil soul. Even if they do, they can't hold it for a moment. We may not have time to surround it. Why don't we let a great sage lead 4 saints as bait?" Yi Qinghan looked at Fanning's indifferent expression and suddenly laughed. He pretended to be curious and asked, "Senior sister, who do you think is suitable to be the bait among the 7 great sages?" Fanning glanced around and fixed her eyes on Jin Lei Longpeng. She pointed at him and said, "Jin Lei Longpeng is the fastest and can hold the evil soul for a moment. He's the most suitable candidate." "Ha!" Yi Qinghan laughed maniacally at the sky, but his laughter stopped abruptly. He looked at Fanning with a cold expression, as if he wanted to see through her heart. Fanning felt goosebumps from Yi Qinghan's stare, but she still didn't want to avoid it. Jin Lei Longpeng looked at Fanning coldly, but he didn't get angry. He came purely to help and also to find a chance to take revenge. He didn't want to be the bait. Now, he still needed to see Yi Qinghan's attitude. Yi Qinghan looked at Fanning for a long time, then turned to Grandmaster Tong Tian and asked calmly, "Master, do you think Senior Sister Fanning's suggestion is correct?" Grandmaster Grand Sage looked at Yi Qinghan's cold eyes and knew that their previous tacit understanding was gone. Their previous kindness had turned into coldness and even hatred. Compared to Xia Zhaoyang, he still had the ability to maintain the balance. However, he didn't have the courage to go against Yi Qinghan. Now, he could only weaken Yi Qinghan's power. "I think Fanning is right. Jin Lei Longpeng's speed is unparalleled. With him as the bait, we can at least reduce our losses," Grandmaster Tong Tian said after a moment of silence. At this moment, the adjudicator and the Holy Emperor joined forces and said, "I also support Jin Lei Longpeng as the bait." What? Yi Qinghan stood up. His battle robes were cold, and he looked dignified. Between his eyebrows, he looked disdainfully at the 4 great sages and said proudly, "Your support is useless. I have the right to decide. Since you all want to weaken me, I won't hold back. You 4 great sages, raise your hands and vote. The great sage bait will be chosen from the 4 of you. Don't bargain with me." What a plan to drive a wedge between them. One sentence, one choice, could break their tacit understanding. Chapter 2232. Although the 4 great sages were angry, there was nothing they could do. After all, the decision was in Yi Qinghan's hands. The 4 great sages looked at each other. It was not good to choose anyone. They were all wary of each other, afraid that the other party would choose them as bait. This was a dangerous mission, and they would die if they were not careful. Yi Qinghan once again sat on the chair bathed in holy light. His fingertips tapped on his thigh as he calmly watched the 4 great sages suspect and compete with each other. He could not help but smile evilly. That smile was even scarier than the evil soul. It seemed that other than the immortal world, everything he did was scarier than the evil soul. In fact, Yi Qinghan was not relaxed at this time. No matter how he dealt with the four great sages and drove a wedge between them, he would still be the one to attack in the end. He had to leave himself a way out. Whether he won or lost, he had to guard against the four great sages and the world's consciousness. It's a pity that Qinglian has returned to her original body. Otherwise, I wouldn't have to worry so much. Yi Qinghan squinted at the four great sages and Fanning. He glanced at the chess saint. This group of people was not of help now. They might even be enemies in the future. Lin Wutian alone could not fight so many people. With the addition of the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock, only 2 people would die. Therefore, he had to let the evil soul kill one of them. The remaining one would be left to the strongest elder of the insane sect. Yi Qinghan's every step was flawless. The 4 great sages were still thinking. The other sages were silent. Yi Qinghan's eyes swept across the sages. Although the sages' cultivation was not good, they were still sages. They could be used. For now, Wu Zhenjuan, Xia Houhe, and the Zhan clan elder can be trusted. Maybe I can rope them in. Yi Qinghan touched the corner of his mouth and lowered his head to think. In fact, the 3 of them were also looking at him. After all, Wu Zhenjuan was Yi Qinghan's father-in-law. As for Xia Houhe, he had the aura of a human. No matter what happened, he would not be as unpopular as the chess supremacy. As for the Zhan clan elder, if he was smart, he would know that he could not stand on Xia Zhaoyang's side. Yi Qinghan began to transmit his voice. Xia Houhe didn't even waste his breath and took the initiative to stand on his side. Wu Zhenjuan was silent for a while and also chose to stand on Yi Qinghan's side. Zhan clan elder Zhu didn't take much effort. It only took him half an hour to deal with the 3 of them. As for the others, Yi Qinghan did not know them, nor did he dare to believe them. He could only resign himself to fate. Before the 4 great sages could decide who would be the bait, Yi Qinghan had already begun to make arrangements. He secretly sent a voice transmission to Lin Wutian, saying, "Wutian, inform the Kuang sect that all the older generation masters will be mobilized. The rest will stay in the small domain to avoid being attacked." Lin Wutian bowed slightly and then entered the land of solitary nothingness. His figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. After a long time, the 4 great sages voted. The 3 old men had a tacit understanding and unanimously chose the judge as the bait. This made Yi Qinghan a little disappointed. The judge was also dumbfounded. He didn't expect the 3 of them to have such a tacit understanding. Except for himself, who chose Xia Zhaoyang, the others all chose him. Although Yi Qinghan wasn't satisfied, he still smiled when he saw the expression on the judge's face. Clap, clap, clap. Yi Qinghan clapped his hands and laughed. The older the ginger, the spicier it is. I'm impressed. We youngsters have become great sages, but we're still a new force to be reckoned with. We're existences that can't be controlled. What you guys want is balance. Even Chess Saint didn't expect such an outcome. Half a day later, Lin Wutian and the 9 older sages of the Kuang sect rushed out. Jiang Jingtian, Xia Ziluo, Yan Yunbei, Gu Qingyu, Huang Peng, Yan Ao, Mu Zhuang, Chicken Monkey King, Di Long Tian, and so on. They were all close to the great sage realm with sacred weapons in their hands. They had received the purest faith and willpower in the world, and their power was very pure. However, other than the 9 sages and Lin Wutian, Charity Saint, Emperor Feng, and Zhou Shuguang also came out. Their willingness to face death touched Yi Qinghan. Emperor Yi Saint looked at Charity Saint. He wanted to use her to make Yi Qinghan change, compromise, and give him a guarantee. However, he knew that he had taken the wrong step. Now, even if he wanted to go back, he couldn't. He could only turn his head and pretend that he didn't see anything. Whoosh! The 10 from the Kuang sect, Charity Saint, Emperor Feng, and Zhou Shuguang stood behind Yi Qinghan. The sacred weapons in their hands shone with multicolored sacred light. They had merged with Yi Qinghan's aura, and even the world's consciousness couldn't enter. Even if the world was destroyed, they would not betray each other. Since everyone is here, let's begin. However, I'll make it clear that whoever deserts will die a death 10,000 times more painful than falling into the hands of evil souls. Yi Qinghan looked coldly at the crowd and said indifferently. The sages clenched their fists. If they could survive this battle, they would be lucky. If not, they couldn't blame anyone. Yunlong Sage led Jin Yun Sage and the other two mansion masters to the Coiling Dragon's secret realm. They were very fast, and the 5 of them were very nervous. Their souls were operating at high speed. They were divided into 3 groups. Yi Qinghan, Lin Wuqian, Xia Zheyang, the Holy Emperor, the Heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage, and the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock were in the second group. The other sages were in the third group. Yi Qinghan and the other great sages were like smoke. They followed the judge for tens of thousands of miles. They weren't far, but they weren't close either. The 6 great sages hid their aura. Even if the evil souls were thousands of miles away, they might not be able to sense them. Once they entered the Coiling Dragon's secret realm, the 6 great sages spread out and formed a huge net. Once the entrance was sealed, it would be an inescapable net. At this moment, the judge led Yunlong Sage and the others to the entrance of the secret realm. They exuded negative emotions such as fear and despair, trying to attract the evil souls. The aura of fear spread, especially the fear of the sages. It was very nourishing for the evil souls. Yi Qinghan was in the center. He hid his aura and kept a low profile. He had completely merged with the mountains and rivers, and his body exuded an aura of solitude. Lin Wuqian was on the left, and Jin Lei Longpeng was on the right. The battle could start at any moment. Yi Qinghan was ready to refine the evil soul. However, the prerequisite was that both sides would be injured. Only then would he be able to fight the evil soul. Waiting was a long process. It might take 3 years, 5 years, or even 10 years. There were no clouds in the sky for tens of thousands of miles. The sky was blue. It was supposed to be a fairyland. However, at this moment, the Coiling Dragon's secret realm was silent and lifeless. It was as if it had just been burned by a fire. There was a foul smell everywhere. The great sages endured it. They didn't dare to move. They tried to keep themselves in a calm state. They didn't want anything, and they didn't dare to expose themselves. Time passed slowly. The evil souls didn't appear. This unknown fear shrouded the great sages' hearts. Even the great sages didn't know if they could survive this battle. The judge who was close to the entrance of the Coiling Dragon's secret realm held the ruling blade. It was impossible to say that he wasn't afraid. At this moment his legs were trembling. As for Yunlong Sage and the other sages, they were overwhelmed by fear. Once the evil souls appeared, they wouldn't be able to escape even if they wanted to. At this moment, the Cloud Dragon Sage regretted provoking a vengeful person like Yi Qinghan. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been his turn to suffer. Whoosh! Just as the great sages were silent, Fanine stepped out of her hiding place. Her figure was like a phoenix. The immortal sealing immortal seal immortal chi supported her golden body. Step by step, she walked towards the entrance of the secret realm. She was releasing her life to attract the evil souls. Yi Qinghan squinted at Fanine. A trace of helplessness filled his body. His retreating speed became faster and faster, as if he had entered Yi Qinghan's encirclement. Boom! The evil spirit entered the secret realm of the Coiling Dragon. Half of the secret realm was plunged into darkness. The Dark Land was the domain of the evil spirit. It found several other great saints, but it did not find Yi Qinghan. Kuang Zong and the other minor saints were far behind, so the evil spirit did not think too much about it. You ants are nothing but food for me. Now you still want to fight against me. Today I will fuse all of you into my body, and the next step will be the world's consciousness. You will see the birth of a new civilization through me. In a split second, a humanoid origin condensed from resentful souls appeared in the darkness. It was so conspicuous, as black as ink. Just looking at it made one's soul feel like it was about to explode. Sinful soul, today is the day you die. Fanine put his palms together. The immortal sealing mark rushed out of its shackles and turned into a seal that sealed the sky and suppressed the earth. It directly shattered the void and blocked the entrance to the coiling dragon's secret territory. Boom! The immortal sealing imprint emitted immortal spell runes, purifying all evil. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Fanine's figure flashed and appeared under the celestial sealing imprint in the blink of an eye. She sat cross-legged and put her palms together. She kept chanting the celestial sealing immortal spell. She was as holy as a snow lotus on a snowy mountain, untainted by the mud. The celestial sealing imprint merged with her and erupted with a monstrous celestial light, preventing the evil souls from approaching. Attack! Whoosh. The adjudicator was the closest to the sinful soul. Activating the judgment blade, the judgment light cut through the darkness and rushed towards the sinful soul. Whoosh. The great saints attacked together. The golden thunder dragon rock wings slapped the river and dispersed the evil chi. The immortal sword seized the air and Lin Wutian became one with the sword. They attacked the sinful soul together. Yi Qinghan did not move. He watched quietly as the great saints attacked together. He was accumulating power and waiting for the best opportunity. Boom, boom, boom. The sinful soul's origin dissipated. The mournful roars and the resentful howls of the souls formed countless demons that attacked the saint's sea of consciousness. The Cloud Dragon Saint and the other 3 minor saints lost control on the spot. Their souls were destroyed. They hugged their heads and screamed miserably. Then, their souls turned into resentful souls and chi of fear and resentment that merged with the sinful soul. Food is food. So what if there are more of you? The sinful soul roared and rushed towards the other great saints. Since there was no way out, he would kill all the great saints. Saint Killing Finger. Boom! 3 beams of Saint Light shot into the sky. Xia Zheyang's chi was the strongest. His finger broke the void. The pure power was not weaker than Yi Qinghan's. The finger contained the will of the heavens. It broke the order and the earth collapsed. The coiling dragon's secret territory was almost destroyed. The earth cracked and lava burst out, covering thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. The heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage and the Holy Emperor were not weak either. They were great saints after all. The speed at which they comprehended the Saint Killing Finger was much faster than Yi Qinghan's. The 3 of them unleashed the second finger of the Saint Killing Finger at the same time. The entire battlefield collapsed. The secret territory almost collapsed. The seawater of the macro world roared and gushed out from the ground. Song of the Green Lotus Sword. Whoosh. Lin Wutian attacked from the other side. His sword chi was so sharp that it could even destroy the sinful soul. Wherever the celestial light passed, the evil chi disappeared. When the sword's song moves, the heavens mourn. When the celestial sword comes out, only the way of the sword comes out. Lin Wutian had inherited the essence of the Green Lotus Sword Fairy. He was no weaker than the Green Lotus Sword Fairy. Whoosh, crack, crack. The golden thunder dragon rock spat out lightning. It represented the purest yang. Although it could not completely suppress the chi of the sinful soul, it could at least restrain it a little. Boom, boom. The 6 experts fought with all their might. Xia Zheyang formed the 3rd finger of the Saint Killing Finger. In an instant, the heavens collapsed. This finger was not meant to kill saints, but to destroy the heavens. Yi Qinghan clenched his fist and muttered to himself, "Xia Zheng, you are really good at enduring. Even after being humiliated by me, you did not explode. How badly do you want to comprehend the star-plucking hand and fight against me?" Boom! Just as Yi Qinghan was in shock, the sinful soul avoided Xia Zheyang's attack and focused on the Holy Emperor. At this moment, the Holy Emperor was the weakest. The sinful soul wanted to kill him one by one. Such an evil spirit was not weaker than a human. The Holy Emperor was attacked continuously. His face was pale as he was beaten back. The heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage chased after him from behind. However, the sinful soul avoided him and only attacked the Holy Emperor. Just as he was about to succeed, Xia Zheyang attacked again. He roared, "Yi Qinghan, you shameless person, do you want the world to be destroyed? Yi Qinghan, why are you still not attacking? Do you want me to die in battle? How are you going to explain this to the universal love saint? The holy emperor was furious and frightened. He roared desperately, hoping that Yi Qinghan would save him for the sake of the universal love saint. However, Yi Qinghan was expressionless. He did not even have the intention to move. Master has his own plans. Stop talking nonsense. First, exhaust the sinful soul's power. In the end, Master will come out to clean up the mess. Lin Wutian chided as he attacked. Boom! Whoosh! All of you go to hell. The sinful soul roared. The resentment of the sinful soul attacked the bodies of the other grand sages. Even the grand sages could not take it. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.